What's up, my friends in the film fandom, wherever you may be and however you may be watching? Thank you so much for giving us a little bit of your time. And it's been, I don't know how many years in the making now, almost 20. 9 films, 9 hours roughly of breakdowns by these two gentlemen that are here with me today to prepare us for all the crazy traps, to prepare us for the return of Jigsaw. What's going on, everybody? We are here to talk, of course, about Saw X and what two people could I possibly have such a great conversation with about this movie, other than these two gentlemen right here, starting with my hetero life mate, Jeremy. What's up, brother?
Not a whole lot. There we go. See, I can't even when I'm not hosting the show, I still can't get this shit right. That's okay.
Yeah, how many times do I ever get it right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I thought third time would be the charm, but apparently not. I need more practice. No, what's going on? You know what? I was kind of disappointed last time. I thought the last Monday night Saw, I'm like, I should do a cool guy Jigsaw. And I never did. And I was like, wait a minute, I have one more chance. Because I'm also like, it's a brand new movie. I have to really put something together. But I'm like, whatever, this will work for now. So you get cool guy Jigsaw finally out of me.
It's about damn time. About damn time.
Like the easiest damn thing to do.
Jeremy actually dresses like this in the regular. You guys just don't know it.
Yeah, I was like, I just am cool guy Jigsaw. Just, what's up, fellow young people? Because, I'm like 30 now.
And with us, of course, is the Shape from the Lone Star State, our man Tex. What's up, brother?
I hope whenever I'm old one day, I'm half as cool guy Jigsaw. That guy's just on another level, man. So, just to see, there's something about like the backwards cap and like the look of death in his eyes that it inspires me for some reason. I'm not sure why, but yeah. What's up, y'all? I mean, we're here to celebrate Saw X finally happened. What are our thoughts? You'll obviously be getting those in a second, but
over the course of the next hour and a half or 2 hours, I'm sure there's gonna be plenty to say about this movie. Let's get right into it. Again, it's been a lot of build up. Saw X is finally here. I went and saw it Sunday afternoon. I know Jeremy and Tex were probably there a day or two ahead of me. I'm sure they were there the moment that the
opening night, Thursday night, and on Saturday night. I was there both. I was there twice. So.
He definitely beat me. I saw it yesterday. But worth it.
But yeah, let's get right into it now. Saw X is a 2023 American horror film and the 10th installment in the Saw film franchise. It serves as both a direct sequel to the first Saw movie, which came out in 2004, and a prequel to Saw 2, which came out in 2005. It was directed and edited by Kevin Gertert. I know I'm pronouncing his name wrong. I apologize. And written by Josh Stolberg and Peter Goldfinger. The film stars Tobin Bell, of course, and Shawnee Smith, reprising their roles from previous films, with Savone Makati-Lund, Stephen Brand, Renata Vaca, and Michael Beach. It is set between the events of the first two films, where John Kramer, played, of course, by Tobin Bell, travels to Mexico in hope that an experimental procedure may cure him of his cancer. But before long, however, the operation is proven to be a hoax, leading him to another elaborately grotesque murder spree targeted directly at his scammers. A 10th installment was reported to be in development with Twisted Pictures in April of 2021, with Stolberg and Goldfinger, writers for the previous two entries of the series, confirmed the script was completed in December of 2021. Saw X was theatrically released by Lionsgate on September 29th, 2023. It received mostly positive reviews from critics, with most describing the film as the strongest entry since the first film, and praise for Bell's performance. On the review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes, 87% of 75 critics' reviews are positive, with an average rating of 6.8 out of 10. The website's consensus review reads, quote, led by franchise best performance by Tobin Bell, Saw X reinvigorates the series with an installment that has a surprising amount of heart to go with all the gore. Again, a whole lot can be said about this movie. We're going to go into it right now. I'll go to you first, Jeremy. Some quick thoughts about about Saw X.
Yeah, you know what? I think all hail, all praise Tobin Bell, because holy crap, man, when he brings it, he fucking brings it. You know what? He can play, sinister, I want to play a game, get in your face. He can, blend in with the cool kids with his little backwards hat. But he can also tug at your heartstrings a little bit. It's like the more this goes on, the more, even in the original, like, say, first 5-6 movies, like, you kind of feel for this guy. And that's the best thing, is having a villain that you can sympathize with, at least, to some degree. It's like, man, you kind of understand, like, this dude, just every single damn thing went wrong for him near the end of his life. So, and especially with this kind of deal, it's like, well, when you think about it, these people kind of deserved to die. So, yeah, I don't know. I think this is the most Tobin Bell, like, John Kramer heavy movie that we've had, but, like, I loved every bit of it, and it kind of went back to the basics of, like, the first couple Saw movies. It still had that gritty feel. It had that real quick, sped up, frantic feel to it, like they did when people were in traps and they're panicking. So I really appreciated this movie a lot. I don't know if I'd say as good as the first film, whatever that person said, but definitely a very good one.
Tex, how about you? Give us some quick thoughts of what you thought about this movie before we dig into all the heavy.
Well, before I say anything else, I am nominating, and I'm seriously doing this. Tobin Bell deserves a Best Actor Award nomination at the fucking Oscars for this goddamn movie. And I don't give a fuck who says what. When you go watch Tobin Bell in this movie, you literally copy and paste everything Jeremy just said. We see him drawing the traps for the rack in his little notebook with the mean face to sad, dying cancer guy. He plays the entire spectrum here. This man deserves an award. Get it, Trinity. But quick thoughts. I went into this with no expectation. And this movie, I was very, very pleased. It gave me a lot of what I wanted, a few things that I wanted, but I didn't get. But we'll get into that. But overall, is it the best in the franchise? No. I'll break down my rankings later. But this movie was the perfect re-entry into the Saw franchise to start a whole new slew of films within this world. So I'm very pleased with what we got.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, for me, in full disclosure, I lost track of the Saw franchise after, I think, the third or fourth film. To me, I'm okay with franchises. I'm okay. I mean, obviously, I'm a big MCU fan, but I mean, there's through the first three phases of the MCU, there was a lot there to like. There was, I'm not gonna make this about them, but there was different themes to the movies, different kinds of character exploration, things like that. But a lot of franchises, they do tend to get stale after a while. It's really, really, they're still enjoyable. They're still good, same characters, same actors, but there's only so many times you can kind of tell the same story over and over again before there's not an easy way to polish it.
That's a furious.
Sorry. Are you joking, Jeremy? Are you okay? Are you all right?
I'm okay.
But that's kind of where it was headed for me for a while. So I just kind of lost interest in them. But I really wanted to see this one because I like the fact that they made kind of an event film out of this. I mean, look, because John Kramer's not a bad character. He's a very fun character to watch. He's like the Joker in that way. His level of evil goes past anything that you really see on film or anything that you really deal with at all. But yeah, so I was excited to see that. I was hoping this would be something that kind of reinvigorated my interest in it, and it very much did. It was an interesting new take. It was an interesting angle to look at John Kramer that I don't think they'd done in any of the movies that I had seen, or certainly any of the ones that I had heard you guys talk about over the last couple of weeks. But that said, let's get into some of this stuff. Let's talk for just a moment about the director, and I'm going to mispronounce his name again, Kevin Guttert.
Kevin Gruder.
Gruder. Okay. Well, German names. They can't just name their people Smith. But I'll go to you first, Tex. I'll go to you first, Tex. He doesn't have a great body of work. He's done some things, but he is it more important rather than to have a big name than to have somebody like him who is familiar with the source material, who's really been around from the beginning. I mean, he was the editor on all but 2 of the movies. I think he directed one other movie.
He directed 2 of them. 3 of them, counting this.
Yeah, he's definitely steeped in the Saw lore. Was it more important to have him here than it was to go get some other big name director?
Kevin Gruder, he's directed 2 of my favorite Saw films. He directed 6 and 3D, both of which I'll let you know where I rank them later. But I like his look of how he does the Saw films. As you just said, he's been there since the beginning of this. One thing that the Twisted Pictures and Lionsgate has done is they promote from within. Obviously, James Wan started the first one. Then it went to Darren Lynn Bousman. He did 2, 3, and 4, and then Gruder came in. There was a couple other people. But Kevin Gruder, he doesn't have a long filmography, but that's not necessary for this kind of story. You're not hiring Spielberg or any other Scorsese. You're not hiring these guys. We're making a Saw movie here. This movie was for 2 groups of people: the hardcore Saw fans, and as a re-entry point for new people to jump on board that don't want to watch the 9 films that the hardcore guys do. Well, what you need for that is somebody who's steeped in the lore enough to understand and give you just enough where if you want to go back and look, you can, but you don't have to. I think Kevin Gruder was the perfect choice. When on the last Saw movie, Spiral, Darren Lynn Bousman came back and shit the bed. There's no way he was coming back. So Gruder was the next choice because I highly doubt James Wan was coming back. So, yeah, no, I think he was the perfect choice for this. I'm very happy with it. I love his work.
Yeah, Jeremy, how about you? I'll give you the same question. Is it more important to have somebody who's familiar and even emotionally attached to the lore of this franchise than it is to have a bigger name director or somebody that, or maybe just even a new guy who's got wild ideas?
Yeah, I'm about to agree with Tex. It's good to have somebody who's in this, who understands this this franchise, where it goes, how it feels, how it looks. Because at this point, 10 movies in, and I feel like this is something that's like, and I'm sure Tex will agree with me on this too. It's like this felt like something like a Saw fan would want to see. Like this is a movie that you want to, we're tailing right off a Spiral, and I'm like, yeah, like I kept saying, it's a good movie. It's not a good Saw movie. I don't even think
they had a lot to make up for after Spiral too.
Yeah. Because I'm like, if we're calling this 10, then we're assuming that, I don't know. Sometimes movies, even video games, go off the damn rails when it comes to numbering and trying to make sense of it. So I'm like, if we're assuming this is 10, I'm like, well, then this is the 10th movie, even though it takes place between 1 and 2. But you could probably watch this after watching 1 or 2, and it feels like it would fit in. So that's kind of the vibe you want to go for, because otherwise it would feel really out of place again, and it'd probably feel like Spiral. You know what I mean? Where it's like, that's great. You have somebody who's well known, knows what they're doing, but they don't know Saw. So just the Saw is family. I know it's the wrong series, but that's where I'm going with this. So
yeah, for me, to me, it's about vision. It's about really connecting to the source material. I'm actually very, very, very glad that we got the director that we got, because, again, he's been around the franchise from the beginning. He's been there for the good movies and some of the bad movies. He's got a better idea as to what works for this franchise than I think really anybody else could. So, to me, it's kind of a no-brainer that you would go find someone like him to do this. I mean, because not very many franchises make it to a 10th movie. I mean, it's. I mean, I don't even know if I would count Marvel, because it's not like you've got one character that's in 10 straight movies the way you do, Jigsaw, who's in 9 of the 10, however that worked out. But, I don't know if you count those. I mean, not even really the Star Wars movies. I don't think I'd count that. But it's not very many franchises with one character like John Kramer make it from movie 1 to movie 10. So, you got to have somebody who's really in tune with exactly what that character is about and how you can use him. Because it gets down to the point where, I mean, even a piece of dialogue out of place is going to turn off people like you guys who are hardcore fans of the series. Like, if something like that doesn't fit, the littlest thing, that's going to be what, knocks you down critically with the fans. I think it was a perfect decision for director. I mean, looking at some of his work, I mean, he directed Saw 6 and Saw 3D, mostly as an editor. He edited most of the Saw films, and he edited that movie The Strangers with Liv Tyler and who else was in it? Why am I trying to his name? But that wasn't. I remember seeing that movie a long time ago when it came out. That wasn't bad. He also
Strangers is a gem. I love that movie.
Yeah, he also did the movie Visions, which I had never seen. I was kind of reading a little bit about it as I was doing some prep for this, and it sounded kind of interesting. I'm gonna have to give that one a look. So I mean, maybe he stepped away from this thing just enough and got an idea on how to do it, just right. Different experiences to kind of work it into this. I don't know. I don't know anybody else that could have directed this and made it this good. I mean, I have a few things about the movie I'll go into later that I wasn't very fond of, but overall, it was exactly what I wanted it to be by and large. As someone who's a casual fan of the franchise, not like you guys who are really into it. But yeah, maybe they do more Saw movies. We'll get your guys' thoughts on that later. Maybe he comes back and does a few more.
They might.
Give me more. Give me more, please. I'll take them all.
But yeah, let's move on now and talk a little about the plot. A few things different in this movie than from other movies. Kind of a different approach towards things. I'll go to you first, Jeremy. The plot, the way it revolves around him going down to get a cancer treatment in Mexico, and it ends up turning out to be kind of a scam. It really does kind of change the way you see Jigsaw. What did you think of the plot, and did it work out well for you in relation to Jigsaw?
Yeah, it definitely worked for me. And again, knowing where this falls in the timeline of events, it's like he has already kind of started doing his thing. I mean, I assume if we're talking about, I'm already losing which damn Saw movie it was. Holy crap. Jigsaw?
You start talking on that.
Yeah, Jigsaw, right? The dude that was in the military who'd been there the whole time.
Yeah, that was Jigsaw.
Yeah. So if we're, again, still assuming this is canon, those people have already probably long since been put through their test. Obviously, Amanda's been through her whole ordeal. Maybe Dr. Gordon. I'm not quite sure yet. Maybe? And Adam?
Yes, because this takes place between 1 and 2, so the events of Jigsaw and 1 have happened today. That's everything past that we haven't gotten to yet. Because this is technically Saw 1.5 is what you could call it.
Okay. But it kind of works because if this is not quite the the healthcare one. This is kind of is. It's like they kind of mentioned that in that one that there's somebody in a different country somewhere who's doing something experimental that could work. And again, with something like this, you're going to want to try anything you can in any way to live. So it still goes back to John's message of like, it's the human will to live. And he's willing to just go out of the way and try and do something like this. And you'd even probably you'd find yourself doing something like that. And I think he probably knew, like, maybe this is probably not legit because if it's too good to be true, it probably is. So it still had me. So I mean, I'm like, yeah, I know this isn't probably going to work out in some way, but I'm still locked in. And again, there's still so much more emotion in this John Kramer that I was like, damn. Even though he's still not killing people, as he puts it. It works for me, and I know it's even though I think, like he said, didn't quite work out the way we wanted to, but hey, it still worked out. So it was kind of a wild ride start to finish, and the people in this movie really brought their fucking A game, cutting off limbs and shit.
Yeah, Tex, how about you? I mean, again, the plot a little bit of a divergence from what we usually see in a Saw movie, especially directly involving John Kramer. Did the plot work for you, or were there some things about it that were just a little too different?
Well, one thing you have to keep in mind with this and why this feels different is because this isn't a traditional Saw movie. It's a John Kramer movie. This movie was not about Jigsaw. This movie was about John Kramer. I mean, it took us 10 films to finally get a movie about the main character. I don't know any other franchise that has ever done that, ever. But no, this film, the
nailed
plot,
it.
I think it works. Like I said, is it a perfect film? No. I've got 5 main complaints that I'll get to later. But the plot in and of itself works because we spend the first 30, 40 minutes dealing with Jigsaw, dealing with his health. He's going to the doctor. We see him going to the cancer group thing, whatever you want to call it. I was going to call it
group,
Alcoholics Anonymous, but therapy group, whatever you want to call it. We get to see John not doing Jigsaw things, and I thought that was very refreshing to see because we've never got that. I mean, even the producers from Twisted Pictures came out and said, "Yeah, it was probably a mistake to kill Jigsaw off in the 3rd movie because they never got a chance to tell these stories." So I didn't mind sitting there for 40 minutes watching John Kramer do his thing after decades of wanting to see it. And for a gorehound like me, that should really say something because one of my favorite things about Saw is they don't let plot get in the way of a good story. They just jump right to what they know you're there for. But this film, the plot, it works. This is John Kramer doing his games. And this is why the plot feels different. This isn't Amanda controlling it. We see a little bit in this plot. This isn't a Hoffman-led thing. In this film, this is how John Kramer, he's rooting for these guys to win. He wants them to beat their games. Whenever Valentina he is pushing her along to win. He is relating to her as he's putting barbed wire in front of her neck. That whole philosophy is just bonkers. But the plot in and of itself it's solid. It's what it needs to be. It's never going to win an award, but you know what? It's perfect for this movie. I don't see how you can't see that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the one line that kind of suits this movie up perfectly is the one I've got down in my quote right there is, of all the minutes sheet, you pick John Kramer. Like, the one guy who's like, because obviously, I mean, at this point, it's between Saw 1 and Saw 2, so the events of the first Saw movie are probably well known to the world, to the universe. So
even she knew.
Yeah, it's like, so
yeah.
Whether she knew about Jigsaw. Did she know that John Kramer was Jigsaw?
She's like, I looked you up, and she was like, "Oh, it's Jigsaw." I'm like, still took
once she looked into him, at the very end of the film, she says, "Once I looked into you, and I know who you were." That's whenever she puts him in the collar and does the whole thing. Yeah, she knew she was.
Like, damn, that was ballsy then.
Yeah, but that's kind of the thing. It's like it's like saying I'm going to pick on John Rambo, or I'm going to pick on somebody who I know could go through great lengths and kill me in ways that I really don't want to be killed. They're going to be very painful and time consuming. But
just like in John Wick, where he's like, you didn't just steal anyone's car. You stole John Wick's car and you fucking killed his dog. Like, you fucked up, kid.
Yeah. Of all the people, you pick John Wick. But
see, look at that. Rachel said it at the same time as I did. Same brain.
That was an interesting angle to me in the plot, because we're so used to, over the course of at least the movies that I've seen, probably all of them to an extent, of just seeing the killings kind of happen in the abstract. It's like, all these people that end up in traps from one movie to the next are there for a reason, because they have some personal malady or some personal quirk that needs to be rectified, if you believe the way John Kramer explains his thought process. But still, he was kind of like the Joker in that it didn't really put any reasoning behind his evil other than the fact that he's the dying man and whatever. Just because his motivation is not something that's completely unheard of in movies. this is probably the biggest movie where this has been that character's motivation, but it's not exactly new. It's just taken to a different level in the series, to be sure. But I thought it was interesting that they tried to make him, and I talked about this in my short review, they made him the sympathetic character in this movie, which I thought was weird. I walked out of the theater thinking to myself, I really like this movie, but I don't know if I like making him kind of, I don't want to say the good guy, because let's face it, he's tying people down to have their heads chopped off by rope saws. But I was like, I don't know if I want to side with this guy because I am angry at this character that I like being screwed and scammed by these people. It was a weird situation to put him in, because I just like the fact that John Kramer is evil. I think those are some of the better bad guys. I've talked to Jeremy about it 100 times. One of the great things about the Joker, what makes him a great bad guy, is that he's just evil. There's not really, they've tried to explain his evil, but overall he's just evil. There's no real explanation. And that's one of the things that makes him a very scary, intimidating character, is that he just is. When you can explain the evil, it kind of dulls it a bit. And that to me was kind of the effect that I had walking out of the theater. Now, in the hours after, as I was kind of processing my thoughts about the movie, it didn't bother me as much. But I still think it's a weird way to kind of approach John's character from that point of view. Tex, do you agree with me, or is there something I'm not getting because I'm not as versed in this universe as you guys are?
I think you're missing the mark a little bit, because even going back to the first three Saw, well, not so much Saw 1, because he spent the whole movie laying in a puddle of fake blood, but especially in Saw 3, go back and rewatch Saw 3. Jigsaw or John Kramer can go from caring about Lynn, the woman who he's got in a shotgun collar, and trying to emotionally connect with Amanda, to telling Jeff, I'm the only one who knows where your daughter is. Can you forgive me or not? You know, I would say he is his furthest thing from Joker. He's not just evil. When you watch this movie, obviously Saw 1 has happened, Dr. Gordon, Adam, the whole thing. But after he has that surgery and he walks out and he sees the sun, like for the first time, over Mexico, it's almost as if he doesn't say this is just my own headcanon, but the way I kind of read that scene is he kind of says, I don't need to do this anymore. He kind of lets it go, because as far as he knows, he's cured. At this point, he hasn't realized, I was scammed for $1 million or whatever. In that moment in time, it feels like I got a new lease on life. I'm walking away from this. Now, I could be wrong, I could be right, whatever. But no, the showing Jigsaw in a softer light in this film, it doesn't lessen the sharpness of his blade. It shows the complexity of his character. Joker's a one-note character. Joker is, I want anarchy and chaos. Jigsaw is, live your best life, cherish your life, do all of these things. He just has a God complex about it. So to me, they're apples and oranges. I think they're different.
Jeremy, what do you think? Was John Kramer painted in too different of a light, or did it still work out pretty well for you, like Tex said?
I think it works. Again, knowing where this was, and there was a line that he said that kind of, I guess, helps my argument here, where he was talking to I already forget the fucking lady's name, the main lady, Cecilia.
The doctor, Cecilia.
Yeah, Cecilia.
Yeah. Where he tells her, like, no, I just had a slight lapse in judgment. Where it's like, yeah, he still kind of slipped up. He kind of let her get the best of him a little bit. But I'm like, and I was thinking, damn it. But in the back of my head, I'm like, no, these two are definitely smarter than this. I'm like, I know it's still there, but like having more of that complexity to John was kind of cool. It's like one of the best episodes of The Walking Dead was actually, they showed Negan before all the stuff happened. And you're like, oh, damn, this dude, like, ironically, actually, his wife had cancer, during the apocalypse, which sucks. And it's like he's more concerned with that. He has a lot of emotion still, and it's just that's his driving force. And to be fair, along with that, and also with the Joaquin Phoenix Joker, it's like there's you have the sympathy for this character that there's things that happen to them and it pushes them over this edge. So if you can at least get your audience to sympathize with your character, albeit a villain, you can kind of be like, yeah, I can kind of understand where this is going. No, I mean, I don't know if you're gonna. Well, you can swing barbed wire baseball bats at people. I mean, that kind of seems a little more. I almost said reasonable. Okay, I don't know. Okay, hold on. Seems a little more reasonable, I guess, than trying to put barbed wire around someone's neck. I don't know. But yeah, you know what I mean. It having a little bit more complexity to it. Like the Joker's not exactly just one note. It's not just one dimensional where it's just evil for the sake of being evil. Hell, even like Darth Vader was given a lot more, like prequels aside, was still right at the end of Return of the Jedi given kind of a human like moment. You know what I mean? So it was just kind of nice to see. And again, he's like, I still kind of slipped up because he's like, I actually, even when he said to Gabriella, she's like, I didn't do anything. He's like, I really want to believe you. It's like, you see, he's kind of like, I want to actually believe you. However, you found yourself here. So I like it.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting.
It was different.
Interesting approach on his character. Very different from anything that I would have expected to see in this. But again, the line says it all. Out of all the minute sheet, you pick John Kramer. It's like, I mean, maybe she didn't know. Now, did she say that she actually looked him up and figured out who he was before he got there for the treatment?
I think so, because didn't she say she's like, I went back and looked at your name again, and then when I saw John Kramer, she's like, I fucking realized you were Jigsaw. I'm like, oh, because she's like, isn't this ironic? You're gonna die in one of your own traps. I'm like, yikes.
I think while you sit right there, I looked you up again. I think whenever she first looked him up, the world didn't know he was Jigsaw yet.
That's what I was saying. I don't know if after Saw 1, if the outside world knew that John Kramer was Jigsaw.
Because it seemed like 2 was the one.
Oh yeah, no, they did.
Wahlberg was where they found out, like, oh, we know it's him.
Saw 2.
Yeah.
They knew the Gideon building, which that movie where that spoiler, that's where that he owns that building. They knew exactly where to go. They knew who he was in Saw 2. So when Cecilia says in this film, when I looked you up again, that this would obviously be whenever the police found out and went to the media with John Kramer's Jigsaw. Because if going back into like Saw 4, 5, and 6, you see like Pamela Jenkins, the news reporter. He was on the cover of Time magazine as Jigsaw. Multiple news dames had put out that John Kramer was the Jigsaw killer. So yeah, no, it's believable that she could have found out after the surgery or whatever. Because in this film, we don't know how long his fake surgery was to when he did those games. It's believable enough we need some time to set up these games. So a few weeks, maybe months, we don't really know in the Saw timeline here, but no, it's believable that she knew who he was.
Yeah, let's talk about another key plot point, and that's the return of Amanda, probably the second best character of this entire franchise. For one, I had put out in our Twitter room as I was watching the movie, I was like, her plastic surgery is kicking. It
was kind of rough.
It's blatantly obvious, but it doesn't take away from her performance. And I actually think there were some interesting things about her performance that kind of had me wondering. Now, again, you guys will know more about this than me, but her performances over the course of the entire franchise to this leading into this movie, she seemed like she was very gung-ho, as I recall, to do John Kramer's bidding and to be his apprentice and eventually pick up his mantle. But there are periods in this movie where she's very hesitant for one reason or another to kind of push this thing towards its conclusion. Is that something that, I'll start with you, Tex, is that something that kind of fits into where she probably is at this moment in her character's growth, or was that a little off to you? I wasn't sure where she was kind of in her character growth, so I just kind of took it at face value. But it was a good performance on her part by all means. What do you think of her hesitation to kind of push this thing forward?
Well, that was Amanda's whole story. Obviously, if you watched our 3-part breakdown of the series, you got to see that Amanda, she was a drug addict. She was the girlfriend of Cecil, which killed Jigsaw's unborn child, which led to all of this. Jigsaw, I believe in this movie where I think Jigsaw knew that Amanda had killed his child, which is kind of the way he's talking to her towards the end of the film. But Amanda, in Saw 1, all we get from her is reverse bear trap and police interrogation scene. That's all you get. Now, Saw 2, she is the key to the entire film. We get to see her. She's preaching. We have to follow the rules. Don't go through that door. Blah, 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 whatever it is. And as the other movies have gone on, obviously in Saw 3, she's completely unhinged. She's no longer a drug addict, but she's a cutter. And her whole thing with John is she loves John. She looks at him as a father. Sometimes you get like a romantic vibe from her towards John. Very complex kind of relationship from her, but she's always an addict. She, in one way or another, she's that horse that can't be fully broken. And like we see in this film where John wants to do Gabriella, the younger girl who's the drug addict, but she's bucking him and she jumps to the veterinarian guy. I can't remember his name now. Mateo, thank you. Amanda's whole thing is she is the one that wants to carry on John's legacy, but do it on her own terms, and ultimately that causes her undoing in Saw 3. And she's very much like John as well. She's very schizophrenic. One scene she's worshiping, the next she's doing his bidding, but kind of unwillingly because she wants to do it her own way. So Amanda's she's a whole lot of crazy, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeremy, how about you? What did you think about Amanda's character in this film?
I agree with Tex. I think it fits in with kind of where she's at with her god awful fucking bowl cut, whatever the fuck that was supposed to be.
Yeah, they should have went with the long hair. Jesus Christ, this is bad. It looks horrible.
Even if this is supposed to be right, maybe this could be before too, because she had the kind of a little bit longer but choppy short hair in too. So I'm like,
yeah,
I don't know. Because she had long hair in 1, then she had long hair again in 3. So I don't know what the fuck. She had a weird phase, and if this is her weird phase, then fine.
I think if the hair was longer, the face would have looked better. But nobody, you could have put Pamela Anderson in her prime with that haircut, and she's not going to look good. All right, I'm just saying, nobody looks good with the chili ball haircut, especially a woman.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
That was weird. I'm like Wish.com G.I. Jane. I mean, her outfit was pretty badass, man. She had the combat boots. She had the little
the little choker on, the whole thing. Yeah.
Little tank top on and the cargo pants. Yeah. So I'm like, it fits the vibe. Maybe she maybe could have hit it. I think the first scene I saw where she comes in, she's all up close to the camera. She's like, "Hey, how you doing?" To fucking not Gabriella. What was the first girl? Valentina. She's like, "Hey, how are you?" I'm like, "God, Jesus, woman, what the fuck happened to your face?"
She kind of had a Harley Quinn thing going in this movie. I did notice.
Yeah, she was a little quirky. It was kind of fun.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is she is all over the place a little bit. Right. I think maybe, like you said, she's an addict, and like even though she may be coming down from her drug addiction, but it's like now she's trying to latch onto something else, and she latched on to John in these games that they're playing. But when she has like that come down where she's like sitting there and she's like, it's sinking in, she's like, God damn it, I don't know if I can I can do this. Like John even offers her, he's like, do you want me to go do it? And she's like, no, I got it. Like, he's still kind of hesitant on her, but like, it was nice that she kind of had that, that sympathy with Gabriella being a drug addict as well. Because she walked in and she's like, I just did you a fucking favor, dude. So I'm trying to help you a little bit. It works. I don't know, just maybe with that like $8 million you got, maybe go get a better haircut or something. I don't know. Split with the kid. I don't fucking know.
Freaking Carlos is the luckiest kid, the luckiest character in this movie. Jesus
Carlos
Christ.
was awesome.
He did get
God, he got a
blood. I don't know if I call that lucky.
Hey, if I can get millions of dollars and all I have to do is get waterboarded for a minute and a half, I'm down. Let's do this now. I'll do it
Get
twice.
bloodboarded.
You know, I'm down. Yeah, I'm willing to get bloodboarded millions of dollars. You know, just show me the money first. You know,
where do you get that much blood? Even I mean, wow.
After a minute, I was kind of like, how much and where?
You're in Mexico. The cartel would probably apply you with fresh blood daily if you need it. It's probably not that hard.
You know? $8 million buys a lot of blood, damn it.
I guess. I mean, jeez. I was thinking to myself, I'm like, there's only so much blood in the human body. If that's all human blood, and like 7,000 people had to die from all that blood.
Yeah, I was like, as that scene went on, I'm like, God damn, that's a lot of blood. This is cool, but that's a lot of fucking blood.
That was pretty wild, though. Being waterboarded in blood, I was like, good God. That is something straight out of a great horror movie right there.
That was
waterboarding, bad enough. Waterboarding with blood, oh yeah, that's a different level.
That was pretty damn cool. I'm not gonna lie.
But, you know, I didn't put a cast section into the rundown because, I mean, let's face it, the two people the cast that matter the most are John and Amanda. But, I mean, there are other people in this movie. And other than John and Amanda, which one of the eventual victims was kind of your guys' favorite? Who stood out to you most? I'll start with you, Jeremy.
I would either say Cecilia or maybe even Gabriella, because I don't know. There's something that, like, you know, if you speaking on Cecilia, you can play. I mean, it's funny. We're playing two different kind of bad people, bad guys here. But it's like there's something just so, like, it's almost a seething rage. I'm like, God, I hate this bitch. Can you just fucking die? I'm like, damn, you got the
She was
balls,
a great villain.
lady. But yeah, but I'm like, but holy crap, you made me actually fucking hate you a little bit. So not only just the fact that you're like just scamming people, terminal people at the end of their life, but like just the way she talked to him and the way she always just thought she fucking got the better of him. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, you still don't get it, do you? Like, it's gonna, I'm like, it's gonna bite you in the ass, and it's gonna be so wonderful when it does. And then I guess out of the victims, it's like, you know, the one that even John and obviously Amanda was feeling the most sympathy for was Gabriella. And, you know, as soon as she, you know, she won her game, actually. I think she's the only one who did. Technically speaking, and you know, that's
Gabriella won. No, let's see, Gabriella, the guy with the bombs on his arms won.
Yeah. The taxi driver. I guess technically Cecilia did because she killed the other guy, right? Parker or Parks.
That's kind of yet to be seen, but that's the point I'll touch on later. But
they kind of left her there.
I don't think we're done with Cecilia. I have a feeling, but you know, move on. Go ahead.
But yeah, no, because they were immediately like, you know, get her to a hospital. Like she's good now. Fucking go help her. You know, she's learned her lesson, and I think that was the one they really wanted to pull through. And you can kind of feel for her because like she really probably out of the most of them didn't actually do anything. She wasn't completely innocent. I mean, she wasn't, you know, little Carlos, but like, she really didn't have as much to do with this as the rest of them did. So, yeah, I would say Cecilia. She butted heads with John pretty well, and maybe discard Gerard Butler. I don't know who the fuck that guy was. That was in cahoots with her as well.
I thought it was Gerard Butler for when I first saw him too.
I did too. I was like,
that's
not. I was like, that's not him. But they were fun. A weird Bonnie and Clyde thing going on.
Yeah, I found myself, I mean, I kind of wanted all these people to die for various reasons. I mean, they scammed the guy. So I was like, you kind of deserve what you're getting out of this one. But Gabriella was the one that, to me, I was just kind of like, I felt a little sorry for her because having known a few addicts over my life, it's like I know that they're driven not by right or wrong. They're driven by I need some money for for my next fix,
the next high.
I've seen how that trap can affect people. So I was really sympathetic towards her. That's why when she does finally get dispatched by by what's his nuts. I was just kind of like, okay, now I need you to die in a very grotesque, very awesome way.
Oh, Cecilia, she put her fucking heel on her neck, and I was like, oh, you bitch, no. Fuck.
I was like, oh. The other thing about it, though, is it's really funny to see two bad guys really go after each other. Like a good guy versus a bad guy, I mean, that's very standard for a movie. But to have two bad guys who really have it in for each other, to see them going back and forth, that was a lot of fun. That was really a lot of fun. Yeah. I especially because it's like you said, I spent a lot of this movie kind of feeling for John, but it's like as things go on, just hating Cecilia. And it wasn't just like, okay, I got caught scamming you, John, I'm sorry. It's like, yeah, I scammed you. What the fuck are you going to do about it? And I'm just going to sit here and watch these fucking people die because I don't really care about people. I've got this bag of money that I was getting ready to take off with and go hang out with my whatever the hell boyfriend guy and go do whatever. She not unlike the great bad guys, was just evil. She had no remorse, no moment of realization where maybe, now that I think about it, maybe I shouldn't have done this. Like she straight up was like, yeah, I just don't give a fuck. I took your guys' money and I'm okay with that. So be mad.
What did she say? What did she say when she got out finally? She's like, I win, you lose, and fuck you. I'm like, damn, bitch. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, that's harsh.
Oh, really?
I don't know.
maybe you've never seen these movies, Cecilia.
Yeah, because I didn't realize, like, wait a minute, why were there two people for that trap? Read the room, Cecilia.
I think you guys are overlooking the MVP, though. Valentina. Go back and watch. Obviously, either go back to theaters or wait till it comes out. Her interactions with Amanda whenever she's in the trap. And she's literally got barbed wire across her neck. She is restrained to this machine. Amanda's coming at her like she's, Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. And she's just straight up, I'm going to effing kill you, blah, 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 blah. The way she is going at her in that scene. And then, obviously she doesn't live long, but I love the way Valentina, whoever the actress is, kudos, because she was incredible in this scene. Because she goes from, I'm going to kill you, to vulnerable and crying, to I can't do this, to literally sawing her own thigh off and jamming that, deal up her leg. The acting that she does in that scene, that may be, with recently watching all of these films, that has to be at least in the top 5 traps, acting wise. I put that right up there with Simone for the pound of flesh trap, for how well she acted in that scene. I thought Valentina did so good in that one. I was happy when she died, but I was like, oh man, we don't get her for the rest of the movie. But, and good gore effects.
Well, also, I think
that's the one that actually kind of made me cringe in my seat a little bit.
Yeah.
I looked away for a hot second when she shoved that shit into her leg, and I was like, okay. Oh, fuck. Oh. Even dude, like, picking at his own brain, I was kind of like, that's nasty.
I was actually thinking of that scene. I was actually thinking of that scene in the Silence of the Lambs sequel when they're feeding Kremler his own brain. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Oh, yeah.
Really would have been.
That one was good.
But no, like her shoving that shit into her leg and trying to get that bone marrow out. I was like, oh, okay, that's a different level of whoa. Okay.
Like I said, I've never seen this actress before, but whoever played Valentina, she was. Besides John and Amanda and Costas Mandalorian Hoffman, she was my favorite out of all of them. Obviously Cecilia, but that's the easy answer. So
Again, I was really happy to see two just not good people kind of go after each other like that. It was so entertaining.
Oh, yeah.
But obviously you're rooting for John in this one, especially at the point in the movie where they're all in the dungeon and they're going through all their stuff. But part of me was just like,
it's a prequel. He's going to win. This isn't a sequel. It's a prequel. We kind of know he's going to make it.
There's not really as much tension. I'm like, I know they're going to make it out of this. That's always my question. Is like, okay, but how? How did you get out of this? God damn. I was waiting for that gotcha moment, and we fucking got it. And I was like, and then do. Here comes the theme.
Worst twist ever, by the way. I saw that one 10 miles away. I was like, I know what's going to happen here. I don't know the exact details, but I know what twist
how they work. you knew these fuckers were going to be money hungry bitches and they were going to go for it. And I'm like, yeah, there's something to that, isn't there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but let's talk about the idea of doing the prequel/sequel, putting it in between parts 1 and 2 in the timeline. Very odd. I mean, yeah, they're trying to retcon the fact, in a manner of speaking anyway, the fact that they killed him in the third movie, or after the third movie. They're obviously trying to go back to their bread and butter, the guy who, is the heart and soul of the entire franchise. But, I mean, I'll go to you first, Tex. Were you okay with where this movie fits in the film order as being Saw 1.5, essentially?
Oh, I think this was needed. I mean, obviously, we don't get John for really all of Saw 1 besides 2 minutes at the end of the movie. We get him heavy in 2 and heavy in 3. And then from that point forward, it's just flashbacks, and some movies have more than less, but whatever. We needed to see John Kramer do his thing in a Saw film. And the only way, unfortunately, we can do that is by going back in time. So with this franchise being painted into a corner with their star, A, because he's 81 years old, and B, killed him in the third freaking movie. There's only so much you can do. And I think they did well. There is, obviously, the first few Saw movies feel like they happened. I mean, even Jeremy and I commented this on our Monday Night Saw stuff. They feel like they happen within a week. The timeline is so just compacted. But even as compact as they are, it still feels like there's holes in the story, which is one of the things that I wanted to see going forward was, I call it an anthology film, but it's really not. There's movies that can be made, there's television shows. You could do a whole, like, one of the things that I wanted was, I wanted to see a 6-episode miniseries of John and Amanda. I got it in this movie. Could we get more if we do it quickly? I don't know. But you could do something with Dr. Gordon, Hoffman, Logan. There are so many things you can go with this franchise. And timeline-wise, this one fits perfect because now, if you want to watch them chronologically, you can watch Jigsaw, then Saw 1, then this, then Saw 2, then Saw 3, and go on and go forward. So, yeah, I think it works great. I didn't have any issues with that. It's the only way you could have made it.
Yeah, Jeremy, how about you? The requel, not a requel, it's sequel, prequel, whatever you want to mesh the names up for this.
Rebootquel?
I don't know. But we'll have to figure something out. We'll have to pay a linguist to
Cliff Notes, see Jay and Silent Bob get a reboot, whatever.
Prequel. It's a sprequel. It's a sequel prequel.
Right.
A sprequel. I like it.
But what did you think about going almost all the way back to the beginning and making this kind of Saw 1.5? Does that work out for you?
Yeah, finally getting more heavily into John's story of how, I like that, like I said, we wrote into a corner given the fact that he died at the end of the third movie. And it's, obviously the best part of these movies is Tobin Bell. You want this guy to be around. And even if he's just in there for flashbacks, it's like, it's nice going back here once in a while and seeing more and more of the story, more piece. To be fair, I was thinking about it the other day. I'm like, this whole series is one big giant jigsaw puzzle. We're getting these little pieces here and there put together to see this whole big picture of like, this is what, happened to this guy throughout all this time leading up to what, we eventually see happening. So hello, dog. I don't mind, seeing another pretty big piece of the puzzle being more so at the beginning. And like you said, Tobin Bell's in his 80s, man. So if this was going to be it, this was the one to do it in. And to be fair, I'm like, I didn't really care that, you can tell Amanda looks, aged. Obviously, Tobin Bell looks more aged than he did back then too. But he looked like he was a sickly cancer patient and almost on his way out. So I'm like, I don't mind. It kind of works. He's not rocking a bad ball cap and a soul patch, but hey, I didn't mind it.
I was disappointed we didn't get a flashback to Cool Guy Jigsaw going to that book signing. I was like, crap, man, that's one of the things that I wanted.
At least
one more.
Or the hat. Come on. Actually, speaking of, I mean, I don't know if we're gonna talk about it, but like the little picture here of the dude who's kind of, I guess, our poster child for this. Did that happen, or did that happen in his head?
That was a dream.
That happened in his head.
Yeah. Okay,
that wasn't real.
I could still believe, even though he saw him put the stuff back, and he's like, "Yeah, good choice, kid." I'm like, but you got to think that guy probably does steal stuff on the regular anyway. And he's like, "Well, I'm gonna teach this kid a lesson."
I had to knock a half
text,
point
that's
deduction off
two fake
because
outs.
it was a dream. So
that's two fake outs. And you got Jill talking this guy. So
I had to knock a half point deduction off of the score for it. But it is what it is.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting scene because part of me was kind of like, come on, you made this the poster. It's such a cool look. I mean, the guy getting his eyes sucked out with the vacuum. Awesome. But I thought it was interesting because it gave us that little bit of a glimpse, and maybe this has happened at a couple other points in the Saw franchise. I just haven't seen it, but it gave us kind of a glimpse into how John's mind works. So it's like he identifies this person who needs to be readjusted. I don't know what he used. The term.
He needs life coaching. Is that what he said? I'm a life coach.
He needs coached. And he needs renewal. It's renewal is what he
right.
Yeah, but he identifies this person, and then it's kind of interesting that as he's watching this person do this thing that he doesn't approve of, that he thinks this person needs to be taught a lesson about, that he's already rolling through his mind. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this vacuum, and like walking through in his mind what he's going to do, and then like seeing from kind of his brain him visualizing the whole sucking of the eyes and the whole thing with the fingers and all that. And I was just like, that's an interesting look at his mind. That I mean, the movies that I've seen, I know that we hadn't gotten. I don't know if we got that at all in any of the other movies, but I thought it was interesting, kind of to see things through his eyes for a minute, and to like be in his head while he's like plotting out how am I going to teach this person this lesson they need to know. I thought that was a really interesting thing. I was kind of bummed that it was all kind of a figment of his imagination, because I was like, that's kind of a cool trap. I feel like it was kind of wasted a little bit, but at the same time, I was like, I'll accept it because it's a weird little glimpse into what's going on between John's ears. You know what I mean?
I guess like when you see him just, casually sitting in the park, like any other old man feeding the birds, but he's sitting there drawing a fucking, a trap to twist some dude's head around like he's the Exorcist. I'm like, wow. Also, we pay attention to shit. I'm like, come on, that's a loose end. You didn't just crumple that crap up and stick it in a trash can, and some fucking homeless guy's gonna find it and be like, whoa, what the fuck?
Like,
don't just put that in trash, you fucking heathen. Like, be smarter than that.
I hope somebody else. Obviously, I know John. Tobin Bell didn't draw that, but I hope somebody saved that and got that autographed by Tobin Bell and has it framed right now. I would give you lots of money that I don't have to own that hanging on my wall right now. But it is what it is. Right there. Oh yeah, wrinkles and all. I would love every stitch of the paper. But it is what it is.
Yeah, let's ask one of the lingering questions after this movie. As we get done watching it, we'll get to the post-credit scene here in a minute. But is the door open for more movies? I think obviously they're going to make a couple more, at least one. I'll go to you first, Jeremy. It's because, as Tech said very astutely, they wrote themselves into a corner when they killed John Kramer early on in the franchise. So I think at this point you're just like, we're going to say the next movie happens the week before part 2, and then the next movie after that happens immediately after part 3, and then another movie is going to come out that happens a month before John dies, and then another movie is going to happen at the same time.
The whole time
he had 17 different torture rooms going, and we're going to have a different movie about all of them, which is not. I mean, if anybody can do it, it's John Kramer. But I don't know. Do you think there's more movies coming, and if so, how many?
Well, as much as I'd like, Tobin Bell to stick around forever, I mean, he's not going to be able to. So I feel like if we unfortunately, we lose this man, like, I feel like I wouldn't want you to do any more of these movies, because that's, like I said, that's kind of the heart and soul of this whole thing. So you're gonna do it, you better do it quick, and it's gonna have to be somewhere in the timeline of. Well, I mean, you could do a flashback, but I mean, I don't know. I don't write for this franchise. It's amazing they can still find little twists and turns that they can insert into the story, but as we've seen, it doesn't. Hoffman was a lot of fun. I'm just saying, but it's not like it doesn't quite work if John's not at least there in some capacity. I'm thinking like Spiral. It's like, hey, look, there's a picture of him. That's all you get. Like, wow, thanks. I mean, if this was the way they were going to go out, I'm fine with that. If you want to do maybe one more, because I think your loose end is the fact that Cecilia was still there. I feel like, I mean, I know she said we tied up you. Thanks for tying up my loose ends, but I'm like, there's got to be more to that operation than just 3 or 4 people that you had in the same room with you. So, just like we didn't know, apparently the whole damn time, Agent Strom was right there, right behind freaking slow ass Jeff. I'm like, oh, okay. And then Hoffman definitely left out of some door in that room with Amanda and John. I'm like, okay, sure. So someone's probably somewhere in some other room, some other fucking whatever. Maybe Carlos becomes a killer. I don't fucking know. Make the kid a killer. I don't fucking care. He's got enough money to do it now. Shit. So maybe one or two.
Yeah, Tex, what about you? Did it leave the door open wide enough for more films, and how many more do you think we could be getting?
Well, the answer's right in front of our faces. I can't believe Jeremy didn't call it out. Logan. He's the disciple from Jigsaw, the film that we, obviously got that it showed that this happened prior to even to the first Saw film. If you want to go forward,
True.
He's your answer. Let's say they want to make Jigsaw 2. I think the title's perfect because it both works as a sequel to the first Jigsaw movie, and Jigsaw's obviously John Kramer. You can go right off of this movie where we see, which is another negative. We didn't get to see Henry's game. We see John and we got my boy Hoffman in there with Henry hanging up in that famous bathroom. We didn't get the completion of that trap. We didn't get to see Cecilia hanging. The last time we saw her head's sticking through a hole in the wall. These loose ends, you can start there. Somebody's going to clean this up. John Kramer called the Hoffman. He had Amanda with him. We didn't get to see Dr. Gordon or Logan. We know both of them are active in this timeline. What a perfect way for you start the next one right off of this one and have Kramer calling in Logan, be like, hey, I need you to take care of something in Mexico. And then we can do a flashback thing to present day where Logan is carrying on the legacy, which continues the timeline of that film while we're tying up this in the beginning. You can make it work. I'm not a professional script writer, and you give me a week, I can make you a script of a rough idea of how you should do this. I've written enough Saw fan fiction I could do this myself. But that's how you go forward. You can go through it. We need to see how Hoffman ends up, because last time we saw him in Saw 3D, he's chained in the bathroom. We need a resolution to that. And let's not forget, the Jigsaw movie was financially successful. The only reason that didn't get made was because Chris Rock said, oh, hey, I want to do a Saw movie. So they told him to throw the script out, and they made Spiral, which they never should have done. They should have made Jigsaw 2. Now is the perfect time to get Josh Stolberg, which is a cool dude. I follow him on Twitter. He follows me back. This dude's awesome. If you're not following him, go check him out. He wrote that film. Now is the perfect time to make Jigsaw 2, and I hope it gets made, because Logan is the best out of all of the apprentices that they've ever had. Make Jigsaw 2.
Yeah, for me, they're obviously going to make more. It's the whole reason why you backtrack in your world and try to make this movie bring John Kramer back, because that's how it goes. But the one thing I worry about, and again, these long-running franchises, they sometimes don't know when to end. I want a solid ending for the character. One of the things that I liked about Halloween Ends, even though the movie itself had some flaws, the one thing I liked about Halloween Ends is it was an ending. It was an ending. It was an ending for the characters. It was an ending for the saga. It was an ending. So after 40 years,
40-some years.
How many
45 years this year.
How many thousands of movies and so on did we finally got to the conclusion of this epic story. And that's what I want for the character of Jigsaw. I wanted to have a proper ending. Obviously, well, I mean, I don't know what they were planning on doing long term when they decided to kill John Kramer's character early on in the franchise. I don't know if they thought we got 3-4 movies out of this. This is as good as we're going to get. Who's going to want us to make more? And they're like, wait a minute, you're going to check us how much to make a 4th, 5th, 6th one? And they're like, oh yeah, sure. We'll explain why he's not here, whatever. But as long as the check, enough zeros in the check, and I'll write anything you want me to write in the script. But
Exactly.
But yeah, I think that's kind of what ended up happening is maybe they didn't think this was going to make it past like a 4th or 5th movie. So they're like, we're going to go ahead and kill John. And then it's just like, one more movie? Okay, why not? One more movie? Okay, why not? And then eventually you're like, come on. It's like, we can only do so many of these things without John before they start to feel a little bit ridiculous. But yeah, as long as there's a way to keep him involved without having to pull like a Marvel thing and, he was actually frozen in carbonite the whole time, they're going to thaw him out and so on. So it come up with some really outlandish way of making him alive.
Can we give John Kramer the time stone or something? That'd be good.
I'd give him a time stone. I'd be like, here, John, go back to the 70s. There were some guys back there you dealt with. Go back to the 60s. Let's go. Go ahead, do your thing. That Hitler guy, yeah, go take care of that guy. He was a dick. Go get him. But I would imagine they're going to probably make at least 1 or 2 more. But like I said, my focus right now is that I want to see a legitimate, proper ending for the character. Whatever a good ending for the character may be, one that fits John Kramer and Jigsaw, one that fits them very, very well. I don't want to see this stretch into like 20 more movies. I don't want to see him become a super spy who's doing jobs for the government along with Dom Toretto and his family. That's what I worry about. That in an attempt to keep him alive, they're just going to kind of make it really outlandish and silly. And I'm going to be like, come on, guys, let's kind of keep this at the base level.
Well, let's think about it. At least Saw X didn't do Jason X. We didn't get Jigsaw in space. So
hey, Jason X is fun. I will defend that movie. That is a fun movie to watch.
It's much more.
Is it good? No. It's a Friday the 13th movie. What do you expect? Jason killing teens. That's all you need. But
in space.
To kind of address Frank though, Frank talking about the ending, the perfect ending for Jigsaw. We already got it in Saw 3.
It's like,
the way he dies in Saw 3, it's never going to get any better. You had an amazing film, the plot leading up, the music. He's, Jeff, can you forgive me? Oh, I forgive you. And then he raises up a skill saw and slits his neck like a 2x4. There's no better ending. I mean, are you going to put John Kramer through a car grinder too, like Blumhouse did to poor Michael Myers? No. They've had their best ending.
Well, we saw him filleted open in an autopsy. I think that's
right.
That's pretty good.
Right.
I mean,
we've seen his best ending. There's no better. John had slow ass Jeff's daughter abducted, stuck in a safe room somewhere, and he gets his neck turned into lasagna. There's no better way. It's just that's the problem. If you try to do better, you're only going to make it worse. That's the issue.
Yeah, I'm sitting here looking over some of Tobin Bell's acting credits, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, that guy's been around forever, and he's been in some movies that I don't remember seeing him in. He was in Sophie's Choice in 1982, one of his first, a small role. This is his career was getting started.
Hey.
He was in Tootsie, the great Dustin Hoffman movie Tootsie.
If you haven't seen Tobin Bell on Seinfeld as the record guy, go YouTube that after we're done. It's great. He is amazing on that show.
He was in one of my favorite movies, Turk 182. One of these days, I'll talk to you guys about that movie. It's a great movie. Mississippi Burning, Innocent Man with Tom Selleck in '89. Getting into the '90s, he had a small role in Goodfellas, which I'll have to go back and watch that now because I don't remember seeing him in there. The Firm, I remember seeing him in. I don't remember seeing him in The Line of Fire. That's one of my favorite Eastwood movies. I'll have to go back and watch that one. And then let's see, Best of the Best Four, which I think 12 people saw. Let's see, and that kind of gets him through the '90s into the 2000s. He's also done a lot of voice work too. And then of course, 2004 comes along. Saw comes out, and that's his beginning as a horror icon. But and he's also got a couple things that are not released yet. He's got something called The Bunker, something called Clown Motel. I'm pretty sure that's a horror movie, and a movie called Altered Reality.
I think I've seen Clown Motel.
Those are all in post-production.
Is it about that actual clown motel that's like super creepy and shit out in the West?
I don't know.
I hope so.
I forget.
That place is fucking creepy.
I forget the name of the movie that he's in. It's a horror film with a Spanish name. Maybe you can see what it's on there. But Tobin Bell, he plays a priest that gets basically disowned from the church. It's a film. It's a Spanish film, but it's got English in it. And basically, what it is the Antichrist is trying to be reborn, and he plays a priest that you think is. Well, I'm going to spoil, but I don't care. You'll still watch it if you don't. Whatever. He basically plays a priest that you think is bad, but he's trying to stop the Antichrist from being born. It was a low-budget horror film.
The Cello. Maybe
no.
That's it. No. Was Jeremy Irons in it?
No. Tobin Bell's the only real star. It's got, like I said, it's a Spanish name. I can't remember what it is, but I'll put it out on Twitter at Gig'em1836 after the show's over. And
what year did it come out? Right about? Do you remember?
Within the last 10 years.
I'm gonna try and look too.
Phantom Halo doesn't look like it. Massive Education.
Ah shit.
Yeah, it's a Mexican horror film. It was on Shudder. I don't know if it's still on there or not anymore.
Beelzebub.
Basically, what'd you say?
Beelzebub.
Yeah, that's it. Beelzebub. Basically, it's a
Beelzebub. Yeah.
It's a 2017 Mexican horror film directed by Emilio Cortez, starring Joaquin Cosio and Tobin Bell.
Go watch that movie.
The story begins with a hospital detective, Ritter, and his wife celebrating the birth of their baby. Ritter receives a call from his office. He leaves. Nurse takes him to the nursery. Another nurse takes the next shift. Locks the nursery door, takes out a scalpel, and starts to stab Ritter's son and other infants in the nursery before anyone can break in the nursery. The nurse has killed all the newborns and slit her own throat. Many years later, Ritter remains traumatized and emotionally distant, unable to process the death. At work, he learns of a mass shooting. Turns out to be one of a series of massacres in the area. He embarks on a paranormal investigation because, looking for an excommunicated priest, trying to find the evil force responsible for the shocking incidents. I don't know. Could be interesting to watch.
It's a fun watch. If you've ever wanted to see what Tobin Bell would look like covered in tattoos, including his face, go watch this movie. That's what it looks like. But like I said, I saw it on Shudder a couple years ago. I don't even think it went to theater. I think it was like a straight to DVD or video, VOD, whatever. But Beelzebub, I think is how I say it. But it's a fun watch. Tobin Bell, he doesn't really come until the second half of the movie, but it's even when he's not there, it's still a good movie to watch. So I would recommend that. It
says it made 1.5 million at the box office. It doesn't say. I'd have to go to Box Office Mojo to really figure out any of the details about this. But yeah, I mean, no, it's good. Very weird synopsis.
Yeah. Long story short, the Antichrist is trying to be reborn and through different children, and this is a movie. If you don't like seeing kids die, it's probably not your film. So fair warning on that. But I loved the movie. I thought it was a great film.
Yeah, Tobin Bell's also done plenty of TV work. He was in the show Alien Nation that was based on the movie in the early '90s. I watched the show.
You ever watched that?
I know I've seen the movie. The movie was great. I watched the show a little bit. I don't remember seeing him in it. He was in Seinfeld, obviously. He had some different stuff. Episode of ER. He played Ted Kaczynski in one of the many Unabomber movies that came out in the 90s. La Femme Nikita Nash Bridges, Stargate. That's not bad. Walker, Texas Ranger. X-Files, which would be a perfect place for him. A show like the X-Files. Sopranos, Alias, Charmed. I remember seeing him in The West Wing. He played the one of the chiefs. I think he was the Army Chief of Staff or something like that. Then, of course, 24. He also has some voice work for DC. He is Dr. Alchemy and Savitar in 16 episodes of The Flash, as well as
I forgot about
Creepshow, the new MacGyver. He apparently has a reoccurring role in. I have not watched a single episode of the new MacGyver.
In Creepshow, I think it was Creepshow season 1 on Shudder because it's a Shudder AMC Plus exclusive. He plays the sheriff of a town that like a creature kind of thing is taking it over. It's actually a pretty fun watch. He's only in one episode though.
But yeah, I mean the guy's been around for a while, and becoming a horror icon is not the worst way to live. You know what I mean? It's for the rest of his life, he will be certainly very well celebrated by the horror community. He's 81 years old right now. He was born in August of 1942. So hopefully, whatever they make, they make him fast because he's not getting any younger. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I was saying earlier. We don't have to have him to go forward. You know what
I mean? Yeah, but don't you though? Because I mean that's kind of where I feel like me anyway. The Saw franchise kind of lost me is when there's no Tobin Bell. That's like having a Batman movie with no Batman. It's like it's kind of
look at it this way.
This character.
James Earl Jones was the voice of Darth Vader in Star Wars, right? He's not in any of the new films, but his voice still is. Do you miss James Earl Jones?
Was a voice. You can do that. That's.
But the thing
is what I'm saying.
He's still in them though. He's still there. You can only because flashbacks can only do so much. So yeah, you can have flashbacks of Tobin Bell with stock footage, or maybe he shoots a couple extra things. I don't know, but it's one thing to have like flashbacks that show old footage of movies that we've already seen. But if you want to make a new movie, I feel like you're better off, especially now that you've brought it back into the fold with this movie, saying that, hey, he exists now somewhere in our timeline, and we're just going to be making movies around that time while he's still alive. I think you kind of have to have him around. Or you're going to have to make the next film about a big transition from him to Amanda.
Well, you can't do Amanda because Amanda dies in 3, but you can do Logan. Logan is the successor to Jigsaw. Hoffman, as far as we know, Hoffman died in the basement. Amanda got shot to death by Jeff. Dr. Gordon, he's technically still out there, so
he's kind of
you can either go with Dr. Gordon or Logan. These are your two options for true disciples of Jigsaw were affected and he worked with. So either one of those is a viable option. I believe the guy that plays Logan, wasn't it Matt Passmore, I believe his name is? He's going to be a lot cheaper to get than Cary Elwes is. So
I was going to say, if you want to do, you could team up, Dr. Gordon as kind of your, maybe not your Jigsaw, but then like you said, have Logan kind of be your Amanda character, or maybe your Hoffman. And have the two of them.
Or
it's hard getting Cary Elwes to come back, but
think about this. And there's a reason why I bring up James Earl Jones as Darth Vader voice. Obviously, we saw what happened in Spiral with that god-awful he-she voice that they gave the character in Jigsaw in that movie. It was bad. It was not good. We simply have Tobin Bell do the James Earl Jones thing, record, just put him in a booth and have him talk for 4 or 5 days. He's 81 years old. He can handle that. So going forward, we go how I would do Jigsaw 2. I bring back Logan and I bring back Dr. Gordon. I make this a cult versus cult kind of thing, where Dr. Gordon thinks he's the heir to the throne, where Logan has the same right. They both have their followers. You have them going at it however, which way you do it. We have Tobin Bell's voice on every Saw tape. So he is always in these things, just like James Earl Jones's Darth Vader voice. There's a way it can work. You know what I mean?
I mean, Logan did fabricate that voice because, like the
Right.
what's his name was like screaming like, "How are you even still alive?" I'm like, "Well, he's not because he faked his voice."
Right.
So, yeah,
that's what I'm saying. We just have Lionsgate and Twisted Pictures go to Tobin Bell and be like, "Look, we want to make 5 more movies, and we want your voice to carry this. You are the films." Because let's be honest, it's Tobin Bell or nothing. So we just have him read the dictionary for 2 or 3 days, 5 days, whatever. Stock it back. That's what this whole strike is about, right? Put that back for future use, whether you use it or not. You at least have it. So John Kramer will always have a legacy and a presence over these films in his honor, and we can go forward with Logan, Dr. Gordon. You can introduce new characters. I could spin this off 5 different ways, and I'm not even a Hollywood creative. I'm not on strike for millions of dollars. So hire me, Lionsgate. I can make you 15 more Saw movies. Please. I've got ideas.
All you got to do is write a script and then pitch it to them. That's all you got to do. Maybe they like it. Maybe they'll buy your script for $50,000. I don't know. We'll see.
Now, do I have to go to Harvey Weinstein's hotel room? Because I'm not willing to do that. Is that part of the procedure?
He doesn't have a hotel room now. He has a jail cell. So probably
he has a jail. Yeah.
Not Harvey Weinstein. I mean, there's still plenty of scumbags in Hollywood that may make.
Six and say, I'm not going to his brother Bob Weinstein's hotel room either. I'm not going to either one of them. I'm not willing to do that.
You want to get in bed with somebody, but
before we let Tex and Jeremy, if he wants to rank all the Saw films from 1 through 10, Really Mysterious asked a question real quick. He says, "Where do you guys see the horror genre 10 years from now? Is it even smaller than it is now?"
What do you want to put my fucking quote up right after what I said? Hopefully not still making 40+ year sequels that are direct to the original and retconning everything. I think I know Tex is going to agree with me here. It's like, you can make original shit. Look at Terrifier.
Yeah.
That shit came out of the gate swinging. And it's like, it's pretty well solidified now. It's its own kind of, I think we were talking to somebody about horror movies, and it's like there's different types of horror movies. And this the girl was like, she's like, I solely judge you on the fact that if you like Terrifier or you like Saw, it's like those go hand in hand. I know what kind of horror person you are. I'm like, and I immediately thought of Tex. I'm like, yeah, that's fair.
Hey, I'll make no bones about it. Give me the blood, guts, and gore. I'll make no bones.
Yeah, yeah.
It's all good to me.
Yeah, so we can
Badge
make
of honor,
some original stuff. Chainsaw Massacre, Jessica Biel. Yeah, but that's a remake. That was okay though. That was actually all right. It wasn't.
I'm actually going to disagree with Mysterious. Horror's not small right now. I mean, look at all of the. Okay,
I agree.
Winnie the Pooh's blood,
big time on the come up.
It's getting
When Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey gets a theatrical release and makes millions of dollars, horror's not small. Okay. Horror is bigger than it's been in 15 years.
No,
horror's in a great spot. Go back to 2018. Halloween 2018 made $250 million in this country alone. Horror's not small. Scream is back in a big way. Chucky has a TV show. There are so many horror projects going right now. Friday the 13th is getting a TV show that's going to be released on Peacock. You may think horror is small. You're just not looking for it because it's not presented by the world, because horror is still the redheaded stepchild of movie stuff. We're never going to get the Marvel MCU Disney release time. We're the ones that they don't talk about. That's why horror is different. Horror is bigger than it's been in almost 2 decades. So I think he's mistaken on that.
Because what else? I mean, what else are we doing? Still superhero movies. That's
right.
I mean, maybe some action movies like with the Expendables again now, and then like
John Wick,
Furious,
John
Wick.
Don't say the Expendables; they're killing that movie right now. Everybody is saying that movie's awful, and that's a movie that, like I said, has never pretended to be something it's not. But everybody's saying the Expendables.
Right.
But it's like actually bad, not like cheesy, stupid bad, because it's supposed to be like 80s like one-liners and crap. It's actually bad. Oh crap!
There's a lot of people saying
After I watched
not good.
After I watched Critical Drinker's review of Expendables 4, I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'll stay home. I trust Critical Drinker more than most movie reviewers, and whenever he comes out and craps on it, I'm good. I'll wait till it hits.
Like, I don't know if like the Meg kind of counts as horror, maybe like a monster type movie. So there's that.
I guess if you count Jaws as a horror film, you have to count the Meg as one. So yeah.
Yeah, and that's but I don't know. I don't like people calling it a horror movie. It's not really.
It's a different kind of horror. It's not slasher or zombie horror. It's horror in a different fashion.
I mean, like I still call it like monster movie. It's an animal that's trying to kill people. It's this ungodly beast of 25 feet of them. You know what I mean? Whatever the hell he said. It is horrifying, yes, because I mean, you wouldn't want to go swimming in the ocean after that either. So, yeah, I don't know.
Right.
Then again, you wouldn't want to go swim in some lake and some little dirty fucking child just yeets you right out of a fucking canoe, and you woke up in the hospital bed because it definitely didn't happen or something. I don't know. But whatever.
The shark attack in Jaws was all a dream.
They were jumping sharks and shit, and Michael Caine was there for some reason. So whatever the fuck Jaws even did after like I can give you 2 because it still had Chief Brody, but like, man, there's a reason why we call it nuking the fridge or we call it jumping the shark. Don't do that shit, please. It's just ridiculous.
Well, now we're going to get to Tex. We're going to let Tex break down, and Jeremy afterwards if he wants to. I'll give Jeremy a minute to think about it because I don't know if he was planning on doing this or not. But
I can tell you what my favorite ones are, but I don't know if I can rank all 10.
Well, Tex has got his idea as to where he's going to rank all 10. So let's start, Tex, with number 10 on your list, the worst Saw movie.
Oh, that's easy. That's Spiral. Chris Rock ruined. Chris Rock almost killed this whole franchise. Chris Rock, I wish Will Smith had hit him harder for what he did to the Saw franchise. Spiral is coming in at number 10, easily.
You know, that's funny. I got a meme for you on that. You want to see it?
Oh God.
Yes, please.
Oh, yes. Oh,
I was looking around earlier for a because I do want to talk about the post-credit scene before you get into the trivia. I was trying to find a decent screen cap of the post-credit scene for this movie for Saw X, and I stumbled across that, and I was like, "Yeah, I gotta pull that somewhere."
The best one I've seen is somebody took the reverse bear trap scene of Hoffman in Saw 7. And they digitally removed him, put Chris Rock in there, and they put the reverse bear trap on Chris Rock as kind of the same thing. But yeah, that was pretty good.
But okay, so you think that Spiral is number 10, the worst Saw movie so far?
Spiral at 10. Yes.
What about the number 9 movie?
This one, I kind of struggled with a few of these, but at number 9, I have to go Saw 4. After rewatching it, I kind of forgot how stupid Riggs is as a police officer, and there's so many good movies in this franchise that he really drags it down. I think Saw 4 comes in at number 9.
So how about number 8, the third to last worst movie of the Saw franchise for you?
This one I might get some flack over. But at number 8, it's going to be Saw 2. Simply based on the top 5 is so hardcore that I didn't have a choice but to put Saw 2 where I did. Like I said, I'm willing to take flack over it, but, I stand by my picks. Give me Saw 2 at number 8.
Okay, how about number 7?
Jigsaw. I really love this movie. It's a different presentation. You have a little bit of the old, a little bit of the new. You still have Tobin Bell. I love Logan as a disciple, and I'm very upset that we did not get more of him. If you have not seen Jigsaw, you need to go back and rewatch it and keep an open mind because this is a tremendous film. You get all of the traps, you get all the blood, and it's done in a newer way, but it still feels like a Saw movie, unlike Spiral.
Okay, how about number 6?
Number 6, I got Saw X. I think this is right in the middle. It's a solid film. You get a lot of Tobin Bell, which is what really carries this film. But the 5 that are in front of this are so good that this is the highest that this film could go for me. And that's not saying, I mean, I give this movie a 7.5 out of 10, and it's sitting at number 6. So I think that's where it belongs.
Yeah, we're right in the middle of the pack now with the 5-6 area. What's your 5th? You're kind of middle of the road Saw movie.
Middle of the road, and I understand if people yell at me for this one, but the original Saw 1. Saw 1, it started everything. But when you really look at the meat of what made Saw, it was not the original. It was 2, 3, 4. It was the gore. It was the torture. It was all of the craziness. When you look back at Saw 1, it's more of a thriller mystery than it is a horror film. We don't even see Dr. Gordon actually cut his foot off. We just see him start to cut the flesh, and then we cut back to Cary Elwes's face. So at number 5, I got to go Saw 1.
I would have thought that you would have put that movie a couple spots higher. Kind of surprised.
I was definitely putting Saw 1 a lot higher.
I wanted to, because literally it started everything. I've been going over this ever since Thursday night when I saw X. I've made a few different versions of this list, but I kept coming back. The highest I could put Saw 1 is at 5, because the 4 that are ahead of it, they're just solid Saw movies. These films defined the entire franchise. So,
but how about the 4th ranked Saw movie for you?
Number 4, we're going Saw 3D, aka Saw 7. It's this film. If you're a Saw film, Saw fan, this film gives you everything you want. You get to see Hoffenator going off. Tobin Bell's in it. You get the blood, guts, and the gore. You get one of the coolest kills, which the whole scene kind of between Hoffman and Jill Tuck, whenever Hoffman sneaks himself into the police station and he just goes Michael Myers on everybody. And then he takes Jill Tuck and puts her into the reverse bear trap. And we finally get to see the reverse bear trap actually work and what it does. I can't see how you don't love that movie. So Saw 3D at number 4.
What about the number 3 ranked Saw movie for you?
Number 3, we're going Saw 3, because this film, when you see Jeff standing over top of a almost already dead Jigsaw, and he takes that skill saw, to me, that's as impactful as seeing John stand up in Saw 1 and saying to keep the key to those restraints is in that tub and game over and slamming the door. When we see John Kramer get his throat cut, that is one of my maybe top 10 favorite scenes ever in horror. Saw 3 is such a fun film to watch. Besides Jeff is go back and watch Jeremy and I tear, slow ass Jeff apart. But
fucking Jeff, man.
No, yeah, Saw 3 at 3, easily.
Okay, we're getting down the nitty gritty now. What do you think the number 2 Saw film is?
This is where it got hard for me. And Jeremy and I even discussed this on our second review. What was our favorite of the Hoffman trilogy? I've made no bones about it. Hoffman's my favorite character of the Saw franchise. I got to go Saw 5. Watching Hoffman versus Strong is such a fun, because they're such similar characters, but where Jigsaw has empathy, Hoffman has none. And Strom could just as easily be a Jigsaw apprentice right alongside of him, which makes it so fun when you see Perez, get took down the way that she does it, and how Strom just snaps. We see him, beating on the desk, and he's got Jill Tuck pinned against the wall trying to attach charges on her from everything to, jaywalk into tax evasion. The dude watching Hoffman and Strom is magic. I wish we had 2 more movies of it. Saw 5, number 2.
And by process of elimination, there's only one Saw movie left.
But,
what do you think is the best Saw movie in the franchise?
Number 1 is easily Saw 6. Saw 6 is my favorite Saw film. This is Hoffman in his prime, doing his thing. I love the Saw game. It's the healthcare Saw. I mean, it's synonymous for it. When you've got William Easton doing his whole thing, I love the whole speech where John is giving Easton about, well, in the East, you don't pay your doctors when you're sick. You pay them when you're well. And the whole game that he makes him and his crew go through. The shotgun carousel. Maybe the most famous Saw trap besides the reverse bear trap. Saw 6 is an amazing film. I could watch that movie every day and never get tired of it. Saw 6 it's deep in the franchise. Most people gave up on it by that point. But you know what? I would argue with anybody. It is the best out of the Saw movies. You get John, you get Hoffman, you get a little bit of Amanda. It's all there. I love that movie.
Well, there you have it. One of our horror aficionados has broken it down, his top 10. Jeremy, do you want to give a shot at your top 3?
I was trying to think of 3. I guess I'm gonna be a weenus and say my fucking favorite one is obviously the first movie. I mean, really though, I think we said this, and I know I kind of retconned myself again later when we got to later Saw movies. That
It happens.
Yeah, well, yeah, because I'm like, if you had just had this one movie, if you just had just the first Saw movie, like, holy shit, that stood on its own. That, I mean, from just the, it's pretty straightforward. It's mostly in, one room. You wake up tied to a fucking wall in some dingy bathroom, and you're like, okay, well, now what, And there's some dude just laying in a pool of his own blood. It's like, oh, Jesus Christ. And then to see this dude just suddenly fucking stand up and then be like, yeah, well, your shit was in the tub, so game over, dude. Boom, shuts the door. I'm like, what the fuck? Whoa. Like, that was insane. Yeah, I know. And like, it became like Halloween. You start hearing that damn theme, you're like, or like a Jaws, fine if it's a fucking horror movie.
Yeah.
Jaws is a horror movie, just like fucking Die Hard's a Christmas movie. It's fucking not, and I'll fight you to the fucking death about it.
We don't want to start that debate.
No,
we'll never get off of here if we start that.
I'm like, you're the same people that say fucking Die Hard's a Christmas movie. Like, shut up.
Right.
Where was I going? It was like the Jaws thing. You start hearing it, you're like, you get excited. So yeah, that's what it did for me. But then I know I expanded out to say, like, well, even if it had just been the 7 movies, like, that would have been pretty sweet. Yeah. So even in that little
Saw 3D's ending was perfect. It was,
yeah.
I mean, we talked about it. There's no better way Dr. Gordon calling game over on Hoffman as he's screaming, "I'm going to kill you." There's no other way you can end this franchise.
And like you said, we finally see the reverse bear trap on. Unfortunately, no one else better other than Jill Tuck. So it's like, damn.
Oh, God, she was so pretty too. You hate to see it happen.
There's no Jill Tuck in this movie. I was kind of mad. Not even just like a little bit. Although I don't know, maybe she was gone by this point. Who knows? What was I gonna say? I would say 5. I think I agree with him.
Your second favorite movie?
I'd say 5. It's very close, but I love 5. I love Agent Strom, and I like seeing him butt heads with Hoffman. That I think was was getting to the peak of that. Not only that bit of that trilogy within this whole franchise, but that was some shit. Again, like some I believe that's the one with the glass coffin, right? Where he goes
the glass coffin at the end of Saw 5 when Hoffman gets in it, Strom gets turned into a Pop-Tart.
Yeah. I think in terms of also an ending that was just like left me like, ugh, fuck, like the way Saw 1 did. I think 5 definitely did that for me. It's like, damn it, man. And I loved Agent Strom. I really wanted him to fucking make it. Okay. What?
Your number 3 favorite movie.
I might still have to stick with oh man, it's hard. I would say 7. Because again, I feel like that could have been I feel like that could have been a good ending. I mean, again, you get Carrie Elwes back. I mean, you get the cool, even though it's cheesy, he fucking throws the hacksaw right at the camera. Boom. It kind of full circles, and you just leave Hoffman there. And I'm like, I'm fine with that. I kind of want to see what happens, but because technically
we get a
he's been,
slow
like,
clap from
twice
Carrie Elwes that is epic in that movie. You can never discount that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Come on now.
And yeah, I'm fine with that. That was the one with the guy from Boondock Saints, right? That's
Bobby Dagan.
Yeah.
Sean Patrick Thomas or whatever. Sean Patrick Flannery. Yeah, Flannery. Yeah.
Because as I was saying in the comments, I think one of the few, I think the bone marrow one in this one, and the only other time I really, really cringed was the fish hook and the girl's like stomach and her esophagus on the
that one sucked.
Just
I loved it. It sucked.
God, no. And the fact that she has to be quiet too, it's like, God, that's an extra layer of fuck you. It's not enough to have a damn fish hook down your esophagus. Like, I have like acid reflux. That shit hurts enough. But I'm not pulling up a fucking fish hook through my damn esophagus, my windpipe. And I would also say, I'm going back on 5. The reason why 5 is I love that damn shot of the box, the water box that's got Strom's head in it.
Zoom in on the water gallon.
And I'm like, seeing, as much as I love, I'm like, I want to see somebody lose a limb, get decapitated. But I'm like, it's kind of fun watching them get out of it. I was like, dude, he had a pen and he just traked himself. I'm like, holy shit. Yeah. This dude's badass. So that's, I'll say 1, 5, and 7.
And there you have it. The horror experts of the channel have broken it down for you, their favorite films. Real quick before we get into the trivia, though, I mean, that post-credit scene. Jeremy, I feel like it was nice to see. I don't know that it has a great significance for the franchise moving forward, but at the same time, I don't know. I mean, for those of you who don't know, we get spoilery here, so we'll spoil it for you. It ends up back in the bathroom from the original Saw films, and we see the black guy played by Michael Beach, who was the one that gave
Henry
gives John Kramer the contact information for what ends up being the scam.
Henry.
It ends up that he was kind of in on the whole thing, so
the whole time.
Obviously, it was Eric. It was Agatha all along, but obviously Tobin Bell's got a bone to pick with him as well, since he gave him the contact information. So Tobin Bell has to go extract a little bit of revenge. It takes us back to the bathroom from the very first movie. Obviously, an area that Tobin Bell is familiar with. The cool thing, though, was, he mentions calling a detective friend of his early on in the film, and I was just kind of like, I think I know who he's talking about.
Oh, well, Mike, it's Hoffman. Come on, it's gotta be.
But when you see that guy hanging up there, and I'm sorry I don't have it. This is obviously a picture that was taken from a theater, but it was hard to find a good screen cap anywhere on the internet. He's got him strung up and is getting ready to give him his comeuppance, and then here you see Hoffman walking around the corner, and there's a little bit of conversation there, and that's kind of where it all ends. I don't know, Jeremy, is there significance here, or was this post-credit scene just fan service in your mind?
I think when I was also trying to look up, like, was there 1 or was there 2 post scenes that was scrolling through and, trying to find something other than someone saying, hey, is there one? Well, let's find out. And somebody gives me their fucking life story, the entire rundown of the Saw fucking movies. Just tell me in the last 2 sentences, yeah, there's one. Like, come on. But there was one that I saw that said, like, they were saying, like, this is probably just the most fan service we could do. I'm like, yeah, it kind of is. And I mean, I got a little excited. I'm not going to lie. I saw Hoffman come around the corner. I'm like, oh shit. And the classic, I love that not overhead, but that low shot, just panning down, tracking through the bathroom as the lights fucking flicker on. I'm like, oh, here we go. We're back in the bathroom. Like, what's gonna happen? And I was trying to think, like, okay, so when did this happen? And also, I was trying to figure out. So I could see how not Gerard Butler just covered his neck and said, like, oh yeah, I had like lymphoma or whatever, cancer in his neck.
Not Gerard Butler. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, not Gerard Butler. I don't fucking know. He had an accent too, which was really throwing me off. And I was like, it's not him. That would have been kind of wild. Oh, what the hell is it gonna? Oh, yeah. So he just had a thing covering his neck. So I'm like, okay, but what? I mean, he pulls up dude's shirt and he's like, yeah, where's your scar now? I'm like, yeah, what? Because you also never explained Bobby Dagan's little fucking bad run-in with a little kink club or whatever. He's got fucking his nipples like scarred up. I'm like, so what happened? Did you just... Someone's got some good I mean, whoever the fuck has got some good prosthetics like that, John, you need to look into them too, because you got Dr. Gordon, who's, like pretty good surgically. So you can upgrade from just laying in a pool of blood to, hey, look, I actually got my brain knocked open, and no, I didn't. I don't know. It was kind of cool, and I'm like, what is this trap? I thought maybe you'd explain a little bit, not just have its little fingers trying to dig into his back or whatever the hell.
Yeah.
I don't really know what it fit into, but I was like, oh, okay, cool, Hoffman. Woo! And we're in the bathroom with this poor guy. Because another loose end we need to tie up. So that's fine by me. It was fun.
Tex, what did you think? Do you think there was a broader significance to the Saw franchise, or was this just blatant fan service?
You might have a better answer than me. I'm just like, yay, Hoffman!
Oh, when I saw my boy Hoffman back on the screen, I almost spilled my popcorn standing up cheering, because I'm like, finally, like we get one of the most underrated horror characters is back. That was my biggest criticism of this film, was not enough Hoffman. That's, go back to whenever we Jeremy and I are in my part 3 of reviewing the Saw films. My first want was more Hoffman. Mm-hmm. And whenever I heard John Kramer on the phone, detective, I need your help. Like the person that I went with, I grabbed her arm and I like squeezed, like, oh my God, to the point where I got my hand slapped because I squeezed her arm so hard. Just full disclosure. But I had a nerd moment. It is what it is. But I don't think it's fan service. I think it's sequel bait for another film. We've left Cecilia, the worst person to ever be in a Saw movie, just hanging out in the locked room. Yeah. And we leave Henry hanging from the ceiling in the bathroom, and John and Hoffman are standing there, and we just cut away. I don't think, well, technically anything is fan service if you want it to be. To me, that's kind of a stupid cliche. But I think that was sequel bait, which is what all the good horror films do. I mean, how many times was Michael Myers dead? Oh, I shot him 6 times. Oh, he's not in the yard.
6 times.
Sequel bait. That's all that was.
Well, yeah,
that's what I'm hoping it is.
They killed Jason Voorhees, and they're like, yeah, we're going to electrocute him, bring him back to life, make him a zombie now, basically. I'm like, oh,
we've
whatever.
Right.
Damn it.
They went from Kid Jason to Zombie Jason to Spaceman Jason. We've had all kinds of Jason.
Really?
It is what it is. So
Manhattan Jason, I don't fucking know.
This is obviously a setup for more content. The movie made $30 million in its opening weekend alone. They're gonna make another one. Yeah. Or it was like 29 point something million. Just call it even 30. I'm sure it's made it by now. But either way, they're gonna. Like I said, I don't know the budget for this film, but I guarantee, I promise you, it was not even a third of that $29 million. So they've made their money back already. But there will be another one, and this ending was a perfect setup for going back. Just because this takes place between Saw 1 and 2, they never clarified exactly. I believe there was, wasn't it 6 months between Saw 1 and 2, Jeremy? Isn't that what we what we had talked about? Because I think whenever Detective Matthews is sitting there with Jigsaw, that's 6 months later.
Yeah,
Wasn't that what it was?
Because then I think it's like a year later. Because then when they're talking about Donnie Wahlberg, they're like, "Oh, it's been like 6 months since he's been missing now." So I'm like, so there's probably about a year's worth of
between Saws 1 and 3, there's like a year and a half, or it's either a year or a year and a half between the timeline of those films.
Once you get to 3, he's probably still been around for a few more months.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Bad, but yeah, that's
because there's a 6 month gap and then there's a year gap. I can't remember which one comes first, but either way, there's time to fit in another movie here if they want to do it. And them making $29 million, why wouldn't they? If I'm Lionsgate, I'm getting those writers on the horn right now, telling them to write me a Jigsaw 2 or whatever you want to call it, because cash in while it's hot. You know what I mean?
I was
so far a box office of 31.2 million against a budget of 13 million.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's all right. For a Saw film, that's huge in an opening weekend. I mean, this film's only been out 5 days? And we're early in the month of October. This thing's going to be in theaters come Halloween.
Yeah.
Exorcist is going to come out, but you know what? Saw fans are loyal. I'm telling you, this is going to make money all the way through October. I don't.
You got me.
I would say maybe $100 million max. Like, if I were to top it out, what I think this film could make worldwide, I'd say $100 million, because it is a very specific niche audience. But $100 million for, like 7 out of the 10 Saw films made $100 million, something like that. So I think it's completely possible. You know what I mean?
I know when we were when they but they showed the kid outside kicking the soccer ball. We just heard like a tapping out, and I was like, they all start looking. I was like, Hoffman, and she went, "Wait, Dr. Gordon, the limp?" I was like, "Wait, yeah, who is it?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, it's the kid."
That's my biggest.
Bitch, don't go for the kid.
My 3 biggest complaints are no Logan, no Dr. Gordon, and not enough Hoffman. But
no Joe
give us a sequel and give us all of them. I'll be happy.
Yeah, but I mean, seeing him at the end was kind of nice. He kept saying like, "Oh, detective." I was like, "It's gotta be Hoffman, right? Come on."
As soon as he said that, I was like, "Yeah, that's gonna."
Quit playing with me. It's gotta be. He's got his little people here and there. Because I was like, I don't know if Amanda was there with him the whole time, maybe just kind of hanging back, or he sent out for her to like, hey, we need to take care of some of these people. And he had Hoffman on the line, and I know, like I said, Dr. Gordon's kind of his overarching failsafe, because remember he said, if anything happens to Jill, I want you to take care of this for me, because he kind of had tried to have Jill take care of Hoffman at the end, but that didn't really work out. So he had fallbacks on his fallbacks, which was pretty smart. So I appreciate that.
But now we'll move into a little bit of trivia as we get ready to wrap this up. And again, problem with new movies is there's not a lot of really good trivia out, but found a couple of good ones. This is actually the first film in the franchise in which John Kramer cries openly. Again, one of the central themes of this film is that you get a much more personal, in-depth connection to John Kramer. Jeremy, was that something that jumped out to you? Because it didn't jump out to me at first until I read this, because obviously I haven't seen all the movies. But is that something that is interesting to you?
I don't think I noticed that either. But yeah, like seeing this much depth and emotion to him. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. Like I said, it was nice to see still, but I was surprised we hadn't really gotten as much of that. But I guess if we're getting, I'm totally not a Charlie Manson killer, killer and John Kramer, not a whole lot of time to really be doing that, I guess. He's kind of in his way. So, and like I said, this being a little bit earlier, he's already done some stuff, but this is being a little bit earlier in him, because that's still real for him. That cancer is still fucking real. That's quite literally on the front of his mind. So it's like that hit so hard. I mean, it's like I really wanted to believe, and in that moment, he believes like, oh shit, like that was my whole thing, and I got this taken care of. This finally happened, and it's like, oh my god, I can breathe. I can actually, that it's like, damn, that hurts, and it just hurts even more you watching it because like we know what happens, we know what happened, so we're like, shit, oh, it's about to go off now. You made this man fucking really think he got his life saved, and alas, it was not to be.
Yeah, Tex, was that show of emotion something that you found kind of interesting, or was it a little too out of character?
That's his whole motivation.
Well, I mentioned this on the first part of our trilogy of reviews. Originally in Saw 3, Tobin Bell had wanted to film a scene of when John is laying in the bed of him crying because he knows all the work that he has done, it was for naught. He was a failed savior. But Darren Lynn Bousman didn't want to shoot it that way and show weakness in the Jigsaw character, so it never came. So seeing John Kramer be emotional in this movie, I actually thought it added a level of depth to the character that was really needed because all we ever see of him is, I want to play a game or the scary guy coming on TV or whatever. John Kramer's not Michael Myers, Leatherface, Jason, Freddy Krueger. He's a normal guy. He's a cult leader, murderer / not murderer guy. He's not supernatural. He's human. He still has human emotions.
Yeah, he's a normal guy. He's a cult leader.
He's Charlie Manson.
Well, hey, it takes all kinds to make the world go around. That's all I'm saying. But no, I liked seeing the emotion from John in this movie. Like I said, especially after the crying scene and the scene after he wakes up from the surgery / not surgery, and he's standing out and seeing the sun. It's almost like he's seeing his first sunrise. It's like, oh, okay, the dawn has set on a new day. We're I've been reinvigorated, and then of course, it's all for naught. But seeing them. This film was needed to show that because we've only gotten one side of John Kramer. I mean, well, I guess technically not because we got to see his child get murdered, and everything else. But, dude's gone through a lot. You know what I mean? I thought it fit perfect.
Yeah, for me, I thought it fit great for what this movie was. I mean, if you're trying to take a more personal look at John Kramer, the character, and not just the murderous persona of Jigsaw, I thought it worked out pretty well. But, I did think it was kind of interesting, though, because I think there were plenty of times over the course of this franchise where you could have attached yourself to his humanity a little bit more. But I like the fact they waited for the right timing to do something like that. And this film was probably the best place to do it. But let's see. This is also the third film in the series not to open with a trap.
Yeah, technically not. I mean, we had that one weird all in his head trap, but it didn't actually. It just started with him getting that. Didn't? Well, no, they started with something like this. Started with him being in the like a big MRI machine.
No, I'm trying to think what the other two are. Let's see. Saw 1 opens with the reverse bear trap. 2, we got the Venus flytrap.
Mm-hmm.
3 opened with, was it the classroom trap or was it the fire trap? What were the other two? I can't think of it. Does it say?
The guy with the match.
Yeah, the guy that's covered in that jelly, and he has the password. The numbers are on the wall.
Actually, 4. Didn't 4 just start with the autopsy?
Yeah, Saw 4 opens with the autopsy. So I can't think what the other one would be. Maybe Spiral?
I guess technically Spiral.
No. Well, technically Spiral opens up with the tongue trap.
Oh, no, the guy in the subway. That's right.
Saw 8. Jigsaw opens with. I'm trying to remember.
I don't have all the pictures anymore. Wait, no, I do saw the pictures. What the fuck am I doing? Hold on.
No, I'm
like, wait, I have all of them labeled as fucking the opening traps. Hold on. I need to go back in my notes. Or at least I have like the. Damn it. It's probably having two monitors.
Oh, no. It was
here,
Jigsaw. Jigsaw opens up with the police chasing the guy gets shot on the roof. That's the other one.
Oh, no, you're right.
Yeah.
Then it shows.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm glad I had you experts there to pick that shit apart for me.
Well, I was trying to process of elimination.
Dude, so much of my brain is dedicated to this stuff. I got to monetize it somehow. I'll be a billionaire. It's ridiculous.
Let's see. The experimental cancer treatment John seeks out in this film is presumably the same treatment for which he sought and was denied insurance coverage in a key flashback scene in Saw 6, which came out in 2009. This is further solidified by the fact that in Saw 6, John mentions it's located in Norway, which is where Cecilia's father is allegedly doing his own work. So, I mean, Tex, is it continuity-wise, does this all work out for you?
Oh, it fits perfectly. I mean, that's what I was going to say was, obviously they were trying to find it on the Saw films that would work in a time period that would work. That flashback where John is sitting there with Eastman at that charity function for Jill's clinic is where he's talking to William Easton about that and then everything else. And then you see John in William Easton's office where he really gets into it about, there's this treatment in Norway and blah, 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 blah. And Easton says, well, John, if you do that, we're going to have to drop you and everything else. So, yeah, it was a perfect end to the existing franchise without creating something new that feels natural enough of an entry where it's not abrupt, I guess you know what I mean.
Yeah, Jeremy, was the continuity there for you? Again, you guys know more about the overall continuity of the universe than I do.
Yeah, because the next movie I was thinking about was that one with the whole, him mentioning like, yeah, there's some treatment in some other, other side of the world that I could try. It's like, because again, you're probably willing to try anything, even if it's experimental or it's not, if it's something, worth trying. So I was like, this one kind of leaned more into it. I don't think I even caught that she does mention like, oh yeah, we're here. Now we're in Norway. Now we're in Mexico. It's like, oh, okay. So kind of, I don't know. Would have been nice to maybe see a little more of the dad. If there was like maybe a second post-credit scene, like something with her dad, like maybe there was some legitimacy to it. Then maybe she's just a piece of shit for some reason. I don't know. Could be something there.
I found myself asking if, like myself, knowing I probably wouldn't get an answer to it in the movie, if her dad was even still alive. Like,
true.
The idea is that she took over the
was
practice
there anything,
for
yeah, was
him.
there anything there?
Yeah, I mean, was he also a scammer and she kind of got the idea for just carrying on when he started? Or maybe was he legitimately working on some of this stuff and maybe he couldn't complete it for one reason or another, and she decided, well, why put all the work into making it actually a real thing when I could just tell people it works and take all their money? So I do it is kind of an open question as to where he is. So again, potential fodder for the spready potential sequel.
And it gives you that fun, which I guess it's like I can sit back and look at it and be like, yeah, I could believe that. In terms of like, I guess conspiracy theories that like, oh yeah, we probably have a cure for cancer, but why the fuck would we do that, right? No money in that.
Well,
there could be,
Cecilia does say
not long term. So I'm like, I get what she's saying. Like, oh yeah, why would we actually cure shit when you can just there is no money in it for you if you don't,
whenever
they play with our lives way too much when you hike up the price of something that people need to fucking live, like your insulin and your EpiPens and shit like that. So they do dirty shit like that. So I'm like, it's not out of the realm of possibility to me to think that, oh yeah, there's probably cures for shit, but they're not gonna give us that. And then so if you don't see me next week, I'm probably buried in a trunk of a car somewhere in a river. So for saying that.
I do think her father was alive. Because once Cecilia is has seen a few people die. She kind of starts to bargain with John and everything else. She says, I can call my father right now. And obviously, I know she's the villain of the film, but the way that that actress played that line and that part of the scene, I believed her. I'm going to say he is actually alive. Like I said, you could write.
She still tried to play it out. Like, I still believe John, though, where he's like,
Oh,
yeah, but anyone's going to say anything to get themselves out of this situation. So,
oh, I get that. I'm just more commenting on how that actress carried out that line. You know, she could either be faking it, but I guess, like I said, in my own head canon, it made sense to me that he was alive somehow. But you know, it is what. Depending on how you want the story to go, you can make it go either way.
Maybe we could have saw the cell phone on the ground or some shit, and we just saw like a call from her dad or something. It's like, oh shit.
Right.
Let's see. One more piece of trivia before we get out of here. Despite being a dream sequence of John's, the eye vacuum trap is the first trap in the franchise designed to only maim and not kill the victim upon failure.
You know, I was going to say, there's no like, you can still get out of it, and it's not going to actually kill you. I guess to be fair, some of those would maim your ass. Like there's, you know, Gabriella, like hers you'd get maimed, but you probably, I mean, you could live. Like he said, skin can be
that's
grafted,
technically
bones
not
can heal.
true. In Saw 4, the girl that gets scalped, once Riggs saves her, yeah, you've been scarred for life, but you can live through it.
No, yeah, I guess that's true. You might bleed. Well, I don't know. You might. You wouldn't bleed like fast. You wouldn't die right away either. Yeah, you could maybe help.
Getting scalped, you would have enough time to at least call 911 or something. Either that, or I could even argue that that Gordon's trap in 1, I mean, the whole removal of the foot thing.
Yeah, you're just maiming yourself, I guess. The shock isn't meant to kill you; it's just meant to, you know.
As long as you're, as long as you've, you know, put a crap, I can't remember the name. Not a tether. What do you put on? Not cauterizing. A tourniquet. Yeah, thank you. I couldn't remember the thing of the word right now. As long as you tourniquet it real good, you're not going to be in great shape, but you could survive cutting a limb off. You know what I mean? Obviously, Simone does it in The Pound of Flesh. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that one was going to kill her. They're going to put like rusty screws through her fucking dome. But you know.
Hang on just one second.
You know what? You know what though? The damn vacuum eyeball thing didn't even happen. So who fucking cares? It didn't even happen. You blue balled me with that one.
I'm also kind of bummed that we didn't get like the X form of the
yeah,
either.
If they would have at least crossed.
I was promised this in all the posters and marketing material, but I got this, which was still a very cool visual, especially when it actually turns on and it sucks his eyes out of the skull. Although I do wonder, I mean, like eye trauma is pretty brutal. I would imagine that would probably could have killed him, but I don't know.
I mean, you can lose an eye, I suppose.
That speaks more to how John intended the traps to be. Think about it. John intended for them to be winnable. He's rooting for them. Amanda and Hoffman traps, you weren't going to win those. I mean, Detective Carey had hooks hooked into her rib cage. The guy, Seth Baxter, that killed Hoffman's sister, he, no matter what he did, he was going to get cut in half. There are so many examples of unwinnable games. John's games are winnable. They suck, but you can beat them. You know what I mean?
The classroom trap. There's no way in hell you were getting out of that.
Right.
So
there's so many that were winnable that John designed and created because I'll go back to it. My favorite trap in this whole film, the bone marrow one. John openly, he puts his hand on her shoulder. He wants her to beat this. The guy with the bombs in his arms, he wants Gabriella to beat her trap. He's rooting for them. He wants the rebirth. But, that's the whole point of it.
Also, that was pretty damn gnarly. A whole fucking radiation machine just blasting her in the fucking face.
Oh, dude, that's gotta suck.
Whoa.
Yeah, no, I mean,
whoa, that's insane.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we just saw Oppenheimer. We know what radiation can do to you.
Yeah. You have a bad time.
Dude, that was the one. I mean, for me, I was like, damn, that's pretty fucking harsh.
And
But,
I think I knew better too. Like as soon as she gets the one, she swings out of the way. I was like, no, there's no way. And it moves over. I'm like, son of a bitch. Like that's fucked up. Come on. It's like, oh, I should know
John's
better.
one step ahead of everybody as this movie shows. He's playing chess.
Oh, yeah,
He's
'cause
playing checkers.
She even tries to play the tape. She throws it away. Like, no, fuck that. And he's like, no, bitch. I'm gonna tell you right now. You're gonna do this. I'm like,
He's like,
that's not gonna work.
I guess I'll do it. Whatever.
We'll do it live.
Real quick before we get out of here, Tex, favorite trap of this movie? Which one did you like the most?
Bone marrow. Watching Valentina take that saw and cut through that thigh and the grimacing look and I can't do this and everything else. It was so. It's hard to it's hard to go against a do-it-yourself brain surgery, but watching her get decapitated and cut her leg off was incredible. The blood was just, I mean, chef's kiss. It was perfect.
The blood was flowing for sure. Jeremy, real quick, favorite trap of this movie?
As much as I don't know. As much as I want to say, just visually, I think the bloodboarding was pretty goddamn cool because it was just over the top, constant. I mean, also, it not quite the same, but like seeing John just kind of like rise up and he's just covered in blood. I was like, yeah, it's pretty goddamn cool. I like that. However, I think the one that I was not fucking expecting or ready for was actually the brain surgery one when he just basically got fucking Iron Maiden just like onto his face. I was like, oh my God. I looked over her fucking mouth was on the floor too. I was like, yeah, I wasn't expecting that. Holy shit. Because I'm like, wait, what is that on his head? Is he gonna get electrocuted, burned? No, just snap. I was like, oh, wow, okay. That's neat. Jesus.
Yeah, I'm kind of in line with Jeremy. The bloodboarding one was pretty wild. It was definitely another level. But my personal favorite was the one where he has to dig in his own brain. I was like, it's like I don't know how you differentiate between which one of these traps is worse, having to cut off your own leg or stay there and get irradiated while you're breaking your own hands or bloodboarding, whatever. I don't know how you would possibly think to yourself that one would be better than the other or more tolerable than the other.
Suffocating whatever that gas was that they were in that room locked in.
Yeah, but that the one to me, like I said, as I was watching the scene play out, I kept going back to that one scene in Hannibal where they're cooking Paul Cruthers' brain and feeding it to him. I was like, that's next level fucked up right there. So making a guy carve into his own skull and pull out pieces of his own brain, and then to top it off, the way it ended with that thing just, I'm assuming those are heating elements that get super hot.
Yeah,
and it just closes on.
Yeah, that's what it was.
And it doesn't show us. We just assume what happens because there's.
I was hoping it would just slowly open back up, and I was like, oh, just have his face.
I was hoping to see the aftermath. And the burnt skull of that. I wanted to see that.
Yeah, that was the one that got me. I was just like, holy shit, that's pretty good. That whole sequence is pretty wild. I definitely think he got the worst of it of all the people that ended up having to go through the traps. He definitely got the worst of it. But we're gonna go ahead and start wrapping things up there. Again, a review that was 10 films in the making, 20-something years in the making. There it is, and I'm sure that when Saw 11 comes out, whatever the tagline of that movie is, we'll be breaking that one down as well. So, thank you guys for coming in and hanging out with us. Very much appreciate it, Jeremy. Where can the folks at home find you?
I'm always usually. I'm not gonna say always now. I'm usually here, because unfortunately, it really sucks that I'm not gonna be here for the Exorcist review. The OG one, rather. I'll be here for the new one, of course. But yeah, so I'm here Thursdays. If I ever make some other stupid pun about a movie and we're here on Mondays again, I'll be here for that. I'm a little surprised we didn't do this on Monday because that could have been like your final Monday night for now.
Right.
Yeah, Tuesdays, whatever. I'm here. I'm also on the app formerly known as Twitter. I don't know anymore. I basically just complain about Fortnite and, real life stuff because that's what the internet's for. I'm never going to forget that line. The internet's good for porn and complaining, and that's what it's there for.
Wise words.
Yeah. I think it's like an episode of One Tree Hill or some shit. That's, talking about early 2000s shit. I think that's what it was from. And yeah, I play Fortnite because, I'm not 30 years old. Actually, almost 31. But I've got, look, I thought about it since I had 3 left and the rule of gaming is 3. I was like, I should start streaming. Like, here, come with me as I try to get this damn mythic llama. I'm like, oh, now I'm actually 1 away. But I don't know. I'm working on that damn challenge and I'm so fucking close. And it's spooky season, so I'm working a hunt and we're pretty balls deep in it now. Now we're into October. So it's gonna start getting kind of wild. I'm not gonna be here Thursday though, because we're looking at wedding venues. So sorry to disappoint.
Next time you guys get married, you'll have to make sure you plan it around the spooky month so you can be here for all this horror stuff.
Well, I'm fucking sorry.
When you guys renew your vows, however many years down the road, we'll just have to make sure we think about that.
Right, I'm sorry. How selfish of me. My bad.
And to my friend from down south, the Shea from the Lone Star State, what do you got going on, my friend?
Football show tomorrow night. Some good topics, some good debate. Obviously, this is week 5, so the Dallas Cowboys are going to go, play the San Francisco 49ers. Sorry, I misspoke.
That's the name
I can't wait.
One of my favorite football teams.
And muted. Oh, we lost Tex. Oh,
I'm
no.
sure. Oh, I'm talking about a boat. I don't know what you're talking about, Jeremy. You're the one that thought that, not me. But no,
You're right.
tomorrow night football show. Come hang out with us. Get our expert take on fantasy football because that's what we do here. But before I wrap up, I'm in the middle of my Halloween scare-a-thon. This year's theme is films that take place on Halloween, not just the Halloween films with Myers, but any of them. So every week for the month of October, or every show, I'm going to be recommending a double feature for you. And I have to start it off with the man himself, Rob Zombie. And you got to start this month off with 31 and House of a Thousand Corpses. Both are Halloween Day films that are a nasty, ooey-gooey fun watch, and you will need a shower afterwards, and you will not regret it. So they're both on Tubi for free. Just go check them out after we get off of here. So
Hold on. Dr. Satan! Gotta do it once.
Go what? If you ever want to see me in a horror movie form, I am the younger version of Captain Spaulding, by the way. That is like my horror icon to be when I'm old. So, he could even be my father. Sid Haig could be my daddy. I'm not sure, but we look and sound very similar. That's all I'm saying. So, it is what it is. But go watch those 2 films.
Real quick, thanks to all of you who voted in the polls. I often forget to close the polls out, but I remember to do it today. I asked, what did you think of Saw X? 66% of you said great. 22% of you said straight poop. And 11 of you said meh. That's not bad. I mean, 66%.
Well, 33% of you are getting a Saw game now. Jigsaw's coming for you because you didn't like his movie. So there will be blood.
Yeah. You guys got traps coming for you. That's for damn sure. Let's see. As for me, you can find me back here, as Tex said, tomorrow going over fantasy football. We'll start out with probably with Christian McCaffrey's dominant performance last week against the Cardinals. I mean, the guy was just every time he touched the ball, I don't know what that guy's got going on. But yeah, he was tearing it up. Obviously, giving you some of our thoughts about the fantasy football week that was in week 4. And of course, me and Tex are going to be talking a supreme amount of shit to one another. I've been trying to promote.
He's getting in frame. I keep seeing that.
Just like when somebody asked Dak Prescott about losing the Niners the last 2 playoffs. I've just been trying to subtly take shots at him. But we'll be back here tomorrow and talk about football. And then don't forget on Thursday, one of the greatest horror films of all time. I'm mad at myself for not putting the thumbnail up here now, like I usually do. But we will be talking about The Exorcist, the original 1970s film with Ellen Burstyn and Linda Blair. I started to watch it today. Again, it's a fantastic movie. It's one of the best horror movies ever made. Some people think one of the best top 10 films ever made. I'm really looking forward to getting with Tex and talking about that. And then, of course, on into next week, where we'll be going over the new Exorcist film, Exorcist. What the hell are they called?
Believer.
Resurrections. Believer. Yeah, I was
Believer.
called Resurrections like an
No,
ass.
not the Matrix.
I was called Resurrections.
Body in the blood.
Yeah. So yeah, the scary month. That we are deep into the scary month now. Lots of horror to be talked about over the course of the next several weeks, as we get into deeper into the fall. Into November, where we start getting into some movies that we've just kind of missed over the course of the last couple of years. But I look forward to seeing all of you then. We will see you guys tomorrow. Until then, adios.
You know,
There was
Amanda's plastic surgery did. We've only got 2 boobs in the entirety of the Saw films, but they're so great, I still accept it. Oh, and we also got Jill Tut's nipples in Saw 3D, so that counts.
That's not so bad. That's a win. I'll allow it.